Hello, Laura.
Surprise! We're back!
It feels really strange recording, doesn't it?
I don't know, everything feels really strange. It's full moon.
Yeah.
Coming up for anyway.
I know.
No, it's good. It's exciting to be back and at the thing that we love. But yeah, we obviously aren't meant to be doing anything right now, but it just felt too weird to have had this life-changing, monumental experience to not reflect on it. And plus, we have a shitload of people to thank.
Exactly. Yeah. But it does feel strange, obviously, having done this podcast week by week.
Yeah.
Now not recording for weeks on end. And now we're coming back and recording again. But it feels good.
Yes, it does.
It does. So how are you feeling post-tour?
Yeah, good. It's really strange because yesterday we went through some of the videos. We've got photos and videos absolutely everywhere. And to look back through it is like, oh my gosh, that really happened. Because we didn't actually really get the chance to reflect. Because obviously we had a couple of days in London after the tour, but we had a couple of interviews.
Yeah.
And everything was just really rushed and we were so exhausted, and I was trying to plan my 40th as well at the same time.
Yeah, there wasn't really any reflecting done. It was just let's just chill out a little bit when we can.
But we didn't really.
But we didn't
no,
because
too busy.
Because there was so much still going on.
And then you came home and I went to Ibiza for my 40th.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's like we never actually sat back and went, oh, wow, that happened. So effectively, that's what this is.
Yeah, it really is. I've not even watched half the videos, apart from the ones I watched with you the other day.
Yeah.
I've not even got round to watching them.
Yeah.
So it's exciting to do a little bit of reflecting on it.
A debrief.
Yeah, because I think sometimes when I look back at things, my memories aren't great. So it's only when I look at videos and pictures that I'm like, oh my God, that happened.
Yeah.
And, you remember it. So it is really nice to have all that.
Yeah.
Have lots of pictures and memories that we can look back on and kind of relive those.
Rejog the memory.
And I've not muted Discord, so I'm just going to do that.
So, shall we start at the beginning and have a little walk through what happened, see what we can remember?
Yeah.
And then, we can have reflections at the end.
That's it. Obviously, some of you listening will have been at an event.
And if you have, we're so grateful.
Yeah, and some of you will have wanted to have been at the events and not have been able to, and, circumstances weren't right or whatever reasons you've not been able to come, then, we'd like to talk you through
what happened. Yeah.
And what might be to come in the future.
Yes, indeed.
And what not. So
shall we
dive in? Let's go.
Let's.
ADHD as females. ADHD AF. ADHD as females. The podcast.
Hi, I'm Dawn.
Hi, I'm Laura. And we
are
ADHD
AF.
AF. Seriously. We are two neurodivergent neighbours who moved to the same street at the same time, at the same age, with the same undiagnosed disability. What are the chances?
Since discovering the enormous impact ADHD has had on our lives and the horrifying numbers of missing undiagnosed females, it has become our mission to make some serious noise.
We want to use our voices to raise awareness, break the stigma, and share our experiences in the hope that they help others.
So join us for a chat, or as it's called up here in Aberdeen, a blether.
Trigger warning, we will be covering some really sensitive topics, so please do have a read of the description of each episode before listening.
It's important to note that we are not medical professionals, we're not therapists or coaches, we're not qualified to offer advice or support. What we will do is share our experiences alongside resources and information from professionals. We will talk over each other and we will go off topic and forget the point mid-sentence.
We are both assigned female at birth, which means that we can only speak from the experience of life as AFAB people. However, ADHD AF is an inclusive space. Whatever your gender, you are very welcome here.
Yes, you are.
ADHD as females. ADHD AF.
So, it all started in Aberdeen on the 4th of March.
Yes, it did.
It did.
And it's quite funny, really, because you hear all these things like when you're doing a show that it evolves over time. And I was like, no, well, ours won't, because we've got this like really solid structure and plan. And it's like, no, the show that we started with is not the show that we ended with.
Not even close. I'm not even the same person I was at the start, and at the end after going through all of that.
No, but what happened? So in the Aberdeen event, which was obviously at the Chester Hotel,
and it was our first event. Like it was our kind of testing the water to see how everything was going to work. And obviously we did it in March, and we didn't go on tour until end of April, so we had time to reflect and make some changes and tweaks.
Although we didn't. That's not what we did. We just kind of took the time to organise the rest of the events whilst you were at uni.
Yeah.
And we really literally didn't do anything until we got everything out of the box when we got to Perth.
Yeah.
And we got there early to kind of have a massive run through and refamiliarise ourselves with everything. And the room wasn't set up how we wanted it to be set up. So we actually didn't have any kind of run through. So we finished the show on the 4th of March. And on the 26th of April, we literally were still pushing chairs around. Somebody walked in the door and we had to go for it. And we hadn't actually read through my cards.
No, neither had I. And the cards that were written we just had to wing it, essentially.
Which is ridiculous, but like it makes it sound, I mean, it's the most ADHD thing ever, but it makes it sound like we didn't give it any thought. But what we have learned is absolutely ludicrous that two people would try and plan their own tour.
Yeah.
So that's why there was just too much work to do. Researching the venues, finding the venues, liaising with them, getting the tickets out, speaking to people, getting other people on board. And then when you've got to that place where everything's done, in inverted commas, then the first lot come back around again and say, okay, where are the numbers? Da, 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 da. And then you've got the transport, the accommodation, everything that we literally didn't have a second to think to even do one single run through before the first show.
Yeah. The too much tour, ironically, was too much.
Well, unironically, it was too much. It literally was, in every sense of the word.
But it was incredible. And Perth, our first event, it was smaller numbers, but it was a great venue.
It was great.
Mirrored
it was
ceilings.
like a little disco den. How many people were there? Was it only 20 people?
It wasn't even that. It was 16 tickets we sold.
But what was great about it was when it came to because we did an actual Q&A where we spoke at the end, whereas in the bigger events, it's not really fair. We realised it wasn't fair to do that because you couldn't necessarily answer everyone's questions.
Yeah.
So we made people write them down just so that if we were running out of time, because obviously we're terrible at keeping time, but at that event, we actually sat down. And had a proper chinwag. It was really special.
It was just more intimate, wasn't it? Yeah, it was really nice. And it was just a great way to start things off on the road as well.
Yeah, it really was. It really was.
And we had Rose, our lovely neighbour from Honesty Aberdeen. Yeah, she was speaking at that event.
And Nicole, of course.
And the legendary Nicole Adler.
But actually,
Nadler. Oh my God.
We should backtrack. So basically what happened was, Nicole is doing an amazing show at Edinburgh Fringe. So she did an extract from that at the Aberdeen show.
It wasn't even an extract at that point.
Well, it was kind of,
Yeah, it was just her kind of first idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she, we obviously get on really, really well with Nicole because she's legendary. And
hilarious.
And so we realised, it would be great to have her at the other events in Scotland to practice, to round up troops to come, etc. And we just loved having her on board. And it just became really apparent how intrinsic to keeping things running she actually was. Mm-hmm. And so it was the day before we went down to Glasgow. She was at mine. And she was like, how are you actually just going to do this, just the two of you? And I very flippantly said something like, oh gosh, I wish we could just kidnap you for the rest of them. And she was just like, well, actually you can. That was that.
Yeah.
And Nicole came on tour with us. So we did. We kidnapped Nicole. And thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God.
We would have really, we would have managed we would have got there, but we would have struggled.
Well, we struggled anyway.
Yeah,
Like,
we would have really struggled.
She was a lifesaver.
She really was,
We
yeah.
would have been lost without her.
And so
we just had such a giggle. Whereas I think if it was just the two of us, there's so much pressure on us and so many moving pieces that it can just get really, really stressful.
Yeah.
Whereas with Nicole there, it was just like a reminder to be in the moment and to have fun and to actually take it all in and enjoy. Whereas otherwise, the two of us could have just been like worky and stressy.
Yeah.
Which, we were anyway. But at least we got to be there.
Yeah, she definitely helped lighten the load.
And all of the stuff that she did, she was everything.
Yeah.
Ticket person, door person, merch person, everything person. She literally was the glue that held it all together. And so indebted in gratitude to Nicole.
Oh, incredibly. And the other thing is that she essentially was writing her show on the road.
Yeah.
She'd be sitting in the first half of some of the shows, sitting, writing away on her little handmade script book that she'd made, and then she'd come up on stage after the half time and do a little bit that she'd just written. And it was incredible watching that change develop and come together.
Yeah.
And it's really exciting to see and be part of that. And
it's funny, isn't it? Because there were elements to our show that she suggested, and there are elements to hers that we suggested as well.
Yeah.
And like, for example, the incredible C.S. Lewis quote from the end.
Yeah.
I won't share it in case anybody hasn't seen it, that we're going to go and do it again.
Yeah.
That it was her that gave us that quote, actually.
Yeah.
The quote that always made me cry every single time.
Yeah. It's true, yeah.
And I won't spoil her show, but there's an extract in her show that was like, I think you should do this.
Yeah.
And it worked really, really well.
And some of the little phrases and sayings and stuff that she's even put into it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, I said that.
Yeah.
And it's really nice to see it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just incredible to watch her come forward with that idea and develop it. And yeah. Like, I got quite emotional at some of them, just being like, oh my God, it's so good.
Yeah.
But it was great. Great to have her along with us, and we couldn't have been without her. So we are forever grateful.
And I think also to have an extra person in our team, it did make us feel like, gosh, I can't even think of the word, like...
Spice Girls?
Well, yeah, that. But also
like a troop.
Yeah, like us against the world. We were just on our own little mission, weren't we?
Yeah.
Like... doing our thing.
We did feel like a troop just running around the country.
And so often still head to toe in leopard print.
Yeah.
All three of us together.
Oh, man.
Looking ridiculous, out of context.
Yeah. So we stayed in this little farmhouse just after the Perth show, which had this big massive eagle statue at the top of the stairs.
Oh yeah.
Like, I remember taking a picture of Nicole just standing posing with it because she's like, my dad would love this.
Yeah, it's so funny though, isn't it, to think, especially when we were heading out, like on this beautiful farm in Perth, heading out head to toe in leopard print, like just totally bizarre.
And I drove that section of the trip. And speaking about driving, originally I had flippantly, is that the right word, said that I'll drive, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
And hadn't really, this is a prime example of me kind of now and not now, thinking now that's something I'm totally capable of. And then realising later down the line, you might be capable of it, but you didn't take into consideration all the other things involved. Yeah. And I hadn't really thought about it until it got time got closer that I was going to struggle to drive this whole tour because of how tired I was going to be by the end of it.
Yeah.
And then further south we get in the country is more unfamiliar territory for driving.
Yeah.
So tiredness mixed with, the unknown and all of these things, I kind of realised very last minute that was something that I was going to struggle with. And Laura basically pulled up her trousers and went hell for leather and sorted other...
Well, I think we had 10 days to go.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, out of everything, that's the one thing that I can't fix.
Yeah.
So it was incredibly stressful.
Yeah.
It was so incredibly stressful because it was just like, well, that's the one thing I can't do.
Yeah.
So we had to fix it very last minute, which was incredibly stressful. But it's like, it's a learning curve for us both, because it's like, you did flippantly say it.
Yeah.
But then I felt, so I have guilt that I can't drive. Full
Yeah, of
stop,
course.
in
Yeah.
my life. So everywhere when I lived in Ibiza, everyone drives everywhere. I owe 1 million people lifts. I'm being driven everywhere all of my life, and it makes me feel guilty. So the thing that's most frustrating about all of that is that I literally asked you about 10 times. It wasn't just a one flippant conversation. I literally sat there and was going, "Are you sure? Because I feel so bad that I can't do it. Are you sure?" Like, it was so many times. And then at literally the 11th hour, it was like, well, what do we do now?
Yeah.
It was really stressful, but luckily...
I mean, don't get me wrong, I would have still done it. However, obviously, at that point, I'd said that I was worried, and then that in
that it
turn
would be
worried
unsafe
you.
because I'm the only person that's afraid of bloody cars.
Yeah, and what that's taught me is that I need to think about things before I dive in and say them, and it's that whole thing of me overcommitting,
Yeah.
which I now recognise.
Yeah.
And it's about being able to recognise that. It's like, yeah, you can do it. You have the physical ability to do that thing.
Yeah.
But let's not just say yes based on that. Let's look at the whole picture and everything else that encompasses that thing. Can you do it? Do you have the time to do it? What are the other circumstances that are going to change and affect your ability to do it?
Yeah.
And so that's something that I've noticed. But what makes it even harder for you is that was my uni hand-in time. That was my 40th birthday. And so there was a lot of extra
it was
pressure.
literally the worst of times.
Yeah.
It was like the most stressful week ever.
I mean, I'd physically burnt out from my uni stuff and all the stresses as well, and we were both in a really horrible spot just before we went on tour.
Yeah,
and it was really tough.
At one point, I didn't know if you were going to go.
Yeah, I didn't know if I was going to go. Yeah, I was honestly scared of what was going on in my head, and it wasn't nice. But lots of self-reflection and recognizing what poor decisions can lead to has taught me a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
I'm forever grateful for you for putting up with me and
not at all
pulling shit together when I do these things.
I think it's just hard. There's like I said, there's so many lessons learned, and from my end it's like there's just so many lessons learned. We can do reflections, but back to Perth.
Yes,
we left Perth. And we went to Inverness.
As I say, no, we went to McDonald's.
We did go to McDonald's. But we went to Inverness, and that was like a really stressful day that turned into a really fun night. Like, it was the first time since I was like a teenager that I'd been on stage with lights in my face.
Yeah.
And I found that quite disorientating at first, because obviously we're telling these stories that are like our life stories. And so I'm really engaging with people. I feed off that. I'm looking in people's eyes to see if they're with me, to gauge like what they're thinking as I'm saying it. So suddenly all I've got is a sea of lights in my eyes. And I just found it really, a bit off-putting, because it was like this separation from the crowd.
I get that.
Yeah.
I get that, but I feel like I'm the opposite, which is just like, I don't want to engage with people in case they're giving me evils. So I'm like, if I can't see you, then it's good, because I can pretend you're not there. Inverness was interesting as well, because
it was such a cool venue.
It was a great venue.
But it was
Tooth and Claw in Inverness.
Down with rain.
It was
miserable. Really cold. Actually cold. And we didn't have proper coats or anything. And we had to do multiple trips backwards and forwards from a multi-storey car park on foot in the freezing cold sideways rain. It was,
and I'm not normally a cold person. And we were sat eating our Marks and Spencer's meal deals before we went on stage. And what was it I said?
I can't wait to be warm again in this life.
Yeah, I can't wait to be warm again in this life. I was,
because we were saturated and cold. Yeah,
freezing cold to the bones.
Oh my god!
And because we were, I was driving us all back to Aberdeen after the show. We didn't have a hotel or anywhere that we could go and change or freshen up. Anything like that.
No.
My hair reminded me of Kevin from Kevin and Peggy Goes Large. It was just like
that.
flat. and I had to try and do something with it.
You did, you sorted it.
I mean, it was sorted-ish, but I didn't feel great for when we went on and did the show. But it was a good show.
It was a great show.
And we were joined with Rose Owen again from Honesty Aberdeen.
Yeah, Nicole, of course. And then we had the Dopamine Dolls.
Yeah.
Who are a great
local charity.
They're a community that are becoming a charity, aren't they?
They're in the throes of becoming a charity up in Inverness.
Yeah,
so
they're lovely.
Really
they're
nice.
Great girls. So yeah, it was great to hear from them. And yeah, we had a really good time. We met some lovely people. We spoke to lots of people afterwards, and it was such a cool venue.
Yeah.
So in the end, a difficult day ended up being really fun.
Yeah.
But then we got in the car to drive home. And we started putting on tunes.
That's right. I was like, where's she going with this?
No, because that was the second show in a row and a lot of stress. And we're driving home. You're tired, and so I'm on DJ duties putting on songs. And so I said,
one of the things about me driving is that when I'm driving at night, I always like having music on that I can sing to, because then that keeps me engaged, and I can stay focused when I'm driving. And it was really rainy driving home as well. So,
and I said to Nicole, I was like, "What do you want to listen to?" And she was like, like femme fatale kind of. I was like, okay. And so we started putting stuff on. And sort of, I can't remember what order it happened in, but in amongst the conversation, we were talking about the fact that when we do the Masayoki segments of the show, that because Dawn is such a good singer, I think it sometimes throws people off because they think they're watching a performance, which they are. But actually what we want everyone to do is sing together.
Yeah.
And somewhere in amongst that conversation, Dawn said, the best karaoke song is Hey Big Spender, because you can do, you can be really silly with it and go really out there with it and do this big theatrical.
Well, that's it, because I don't want to go up on stage and just be like, oh, look at me, I'm singing, listen to me. I want to go up there and essentially entertain and make it fun. And so with Big Spender, you can kind of do that, strut about and stuff.
Then we were listening to the Femme Fatale thing. Black Velvet came on and we were belting it out, singing in the car. And then I said, wouldn't it be fun?
That's right.
To really fucking go for it. I said, because we're going for it, and it's a weird concept anyway to kind of be mixing the funny with the serious, with the, I've got a serious point, but then we sort of need to cheer it up again and all of this stuff. I was like, we should just really fucking go for it. And when people are even walking in, you should be singing Hey Big Spender or something like that.
Yeah.
And then it was just like, by the next day, this plan had sort of formulated in my head where I was like, right, this is what we do. When I make it miserable, we bring a song in.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we did.
And so it was literally on that journey that the whole show format changed. And I guess it's probably with our own confidence as well. Was just like, do you know what? As we always say, we're not experts, etc. We're here telling our experiences. And actually, we want it to be fun. We want people to have fun.
Yeah.
I strut around like that for my Emporium of stuff. That's what I do. I'm trying to interact with people and get people dancing and stuff like that. So it's like, actually, we could bring all of these elements together.
Yeah.
Which, as ever, make absolutely no sense, but make perfect fucking sense to us.
Yeah, absolutely. And it did, and it worked so well. And even if people weren't joining in and singing, they were entertained.
Or they could go to the loo.
Yeah,
go for a fag.
Exactly. Well, that's it. It did give an opportunity for people to
have a break,
get up if they needed to as well. Yeah. So it worked fantastically. It was a brilliant idea, and
but I just love how it all happened.
Yeah,
it wasn't like it just literally happened on the road because we loved singing Black Velvet.
Yeah, there was lots of little tweaks and stuff that developed and changed as we went on the road, and that's why the show is not the same show as it was at the very start.
Not at all. So then what was next?
Well, we came back to Aberdeen. We had a day in Aberdeen before we went to Glasgow.
We had an interview with BBC Radio Leeds.
Was that
in the evening?
In between?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
evening.
right, in the kitchen.
And the guy says to us, I can't remember the DJ's name. He says, so girls, I hope you've got an opportunity to chill out. And we're like, no, you're joking, we're about to go on tour, there's like too much work to do. He's like, oh well, hopefully you can relax. So at that exact moment, because I could not be asked to cook because we had so much to do, the pizza delivery guy walks past the window and Dawn says, pizza's here.
just live
on the radio.
Just live on radio. I mean, it wasn't live, but
they
they were literally putting it on 30 minutes later, so I don't think there was much editing. And
No, there wasn't.
And that stayed in. Pizza's here. And I'm like...
Yeah, we're going to have pizza. So, yeah, that was funny. And then the next day was when the lovely Fee from our community picked us up. Oh, yeah, so did we even get that far? This is a real ramble of a story.
It is.
But bear with. And actually... this is a bonus, so it doesn't need to be that structured.
Yeah, we don't even care how long this is. I'm sorry. It might be
5 hours.
Yeah, who knows?
So
we might have to put it out in bits. We'll see.
Fee very kindly came to get us. So Fee lives here in Aberdeen, and she's one of our treasured community members. And the reason how that all came about is another treasured community member called Kim Pierpoint, who you might know from the previous episode, had the genius idea that people from the community should give us lifts from point to point. And she said it as a joke, and I laughed. And then she was like, well, actually, that's really not a bad idea, because I could do that bit and so could do that bit. And it was like, at that point, on my knees, already exhausted with planning things, thinking, how the fuck are we actually going to get from A to B? Just went, well, it's worth a go, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so... that was that. I just ploughed into, who lives here? Who lives here? Can you take us here? Can you take us there? We're desperate.
It was absolute genius. I'm actually getting goose pimples just thinking about how that came together.
Yeah.
Like, it is incredible.
She literally said it as a joke.
And it just...
and I had no other option.
it just shows you the power of community.
Oh, God, 100%. However, on reflection, which only occurred to me after... everything was that we advertised this on the podcast. So if you wanted to kill us, all you would have to do is sign up to our online community and offer us a lift.
Yeah.
And we'd have just got in a car with you and been driven to fuck knows where. Now that isn't risky behaviour. I don't know what is.
So we probably won't do that again. Well, we might, but maybe not advertise it.
Because it's not even just as dangerous as like hitchhiking. It's the fact that we advertised it on a podcast that is listened to in 184 countries.
Anyone.
Like, literally anybody could have signed up to our community and been like, hey girls, do you know what? I'll drive you everywhere. And we'd have been like, oh, thank fuck, great. Yeah.
I'll drive you off this cliff.
Risky behaviour. Yeah,
I know.
But hilarious in hindsight.
Yeah. Yeah, we realised that after the last person that we didn't know before.
I think you said that didn't kill us.
No, well, essentially, yeah. But yeah, it was when we were driving and we'd just gotten out of the car, having had our last trip with our community members, and then we just realised at that point that, that was quite risky, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, it's literally like, oh yeah, that's actually a really risky thing to do. So Fee picked us up.
She wasn't a murderer.
She was not a murderer. She's wonderful, and we do speak to her most mornings anyway, so we did know her. So she helped us set up at the Corinthian in Glasgow as well. So it's a beautiful venue.
Such a cool venue.
And I have to say, Glasgow, like, as we said before, there is a standout moment or moments in every single one. But Glasgow, I think, was the first time that it really felt like everything slotted into place. It was the first one where we did the extra songs and we were really daft and really hammed it up. It was the first one where people really, really got on board. Yeah.
It was a Saturday afternoon, you know, like people were coming out. The venue was bigger, the ticket sales were bigger. It was just...
everything was perfect about it. It was spot on. And everyone was just so up for it that at the end of it, like, people were crying, cheering, like people, and actually like really engaging with people, like little things like when you're singing, I'm just running around like bears with a ladle trying to get people to sing and dance because I can't sing very well, and it's just a fun thing to do to like get people on board. And I started to notice, like I could see like one girl in the crowd who's really enjoying singing, and so I was like, you need to get up here. And then she was an amazing singer.
That's right.
And it's like something that you start to notice when you're engaging with people, and she was an amazing singer.
Yeah, she had a mic as well. That was great. So great.
And at the end of it all, just out of nowhere, a dance cypher appeared.
Yeah.
And people were slut dropping.
We had slut dropping, we had twerking. It was incredible. It was so good.
It was so good.
And we had speakers in Glasgow as well. We had the amazing. I'm not Sean Connery. Amazing.
Is Sean Connery from Glasgow?
No.
Does it link up in any way?
He's Scottish. close enough. But we had the amazing
Zoe Joanna coaching.
Yes.
We had Rose Owen. We had Anna Cole, of course, and we were joined by the incredible Forever Yours Betty.
Yes.
For a Q&A, which was great.
Yeah, it was really good. It was just something different as well to add to the mix.
Because that's the point. Every single one was different.
Yeah, exactly.
Every
They
single
all
one.
they all had their own little things, and it was great. The only downside to the Glasgow one is, but it actually turned out to be a benefit, was that they accidentally threw away our cardboard box for our sequin glitter wall.
Yes.
And it was annoying because that was the box specifically for
because we know what
packing
we're
it up.
like, so we were so afraid that we'd break it, and we had so many shows to do that we were being really precious with it. So each of those little squares came in a plastic film envelope thing.
Not the individual little tiny gold squares,
no,
but it was like a foot by a foot. There was like 7 by 7 essentially.
Yeah, so when you're putting it up or taking it down, each of those squares was in this plastic film. So it takes fucking forever. But we were being so precious about it because we both feel like we're not responsible adults and we were going to break it.
Yeah.
And so then when that all went, it was a bit like, oh, thank fuck for that, actually, because it's just shaved off about 2 hours.
It was like, we've lost the box. We were panicking as what to do with it, but they managed to give us another box and we just chucked it all in there. We didn't have to worry about the plastic sleeves, and it actually saved us a hell of a lot of work on the rest of the tour.
Yeah, it really did. And we didn't break it.
We didn't break it, and it served us perfectly for the tour. So
from Glasgow, we then stayed at Nicole's. So Rose drove us to Edinburgh.
Yeah.
Nicole's lovely husband cooked us the most amazing roast dinner.
Oh my God, I'm still thinking about that. It was so good.
It was so good, wasn't it? And like all the veg, as if it was Christmas dinner. There were like 10 types of veg.
Bless him. I thought he was going to get leftovers, but we ate it all plus leftovers.
Yeah,
and he didn't get any leftovers himself.
I mean, we hadn't eaten vegetables for a little while because we'd just been eating McDonald's for days.
Yeah.
So that was really good.
That was when we kind of realised we can't eat like this on the road. It can't happen.
And then, so we went to Edinburgh. We were at Royal Scots Club. And that was really cool because what was weird about that, not weird, but amazing, was my cousin turned up.
Yeah.
So there was a really random coincidence where Nicole's husband knows my cousin. So my cousin is from Ireland. And yeah, I can't even tell you the last time I saw her, but it was kind of a weird one because she's so lovely and it was really nice to see her and it was really nice of her to come. But then it was weird telling those stories in front of a family member. I was a bit like, oh God, don't tell my mum.
Someone you hadn't seen for a long time as well. Yeah. So, but it's so lovely for her to come.
Oh, it was lovely.
And just very strange that you and Nicole both had a link to it as well. Like, what are the chances?
Yeah. And then what else happened? We got to see lovely community members, Rach and Ali.
Yeah.
And Ali, anyone else come to that one? I can't remember.
I know. Sorry if we forgot.
It's all such a blur. And then Ali drove us back afterwards.
Yeah, she basically like packed all her stuff up packed it into the tour bus.
Yeah, okay, so next time we have to beg Ali to drive us everywhere because she's got the wheels and
it's got like electric sliding doors on the side. It's like it's not like I don't even know, it's like a people carrier type thing, but it was great.
Yeah, we did feel like the Spice Girls then.
We did feel like the Spice Girls,
because we were recording the end of the last episode in the Royal Scots Club's podcasting suite.
That's right.
Which made it all the more bizarre, not just because we'd just come off stage and done all these shows, but also because like this is where we sit in this room with one microphone between us. We sat in like a podcasting studio for the first time. It was weird, wasn't it?
It was very strange. But it was great. It was
amazing,
great re-addition. It's like, right, we've got 10 minutes, like let's go and record the intros or the outros or whatever it was that we were doing and get our final episode recorded. I will edit it on the road. And
did.
And I did. Got it edited. Got a cheeky McDonald's.
So we got McDonald's then, yeah.
Oh man, McDonald's did well out of us on this tour.
Yeah, they did.
And then we drove, Ali drove us down to Newcastle.
Yes.
Straight down to Newcastle that night after Edinburgh. And we went to my friend Gail's and Simon. And they had the bubbles on ice ready for us.
Yeah,
and
they really looked after us.
We were bloody knackered
and
though.
We literally just invaded their home, 3 loud ADHD weirdos, head to toe in leopard print, ranting about nothing but a tour.
Yeah.
And they looked after us.
I know.
So grateful to them.
So grateful. So we stayed there and then got up in the morning and
got to meet our cat.
Yeah.
Cat Owens in the flesh, which was absolutely wonderful and bizarre. It's so bizarre when you meet these people that you feel like you already know, but you haven't actually met.
Yeah.
It's such a funny thing. And she took us down to BBC Radio Newcastle, where we were interviewed by,
Tom Campbell.
That's
it.
who interviewed us, who is just so lovely.
Yeah.
And it was really fun being at BBC Radio Newcastle, particularly funny because as you walk in the door, there's a fucking TARDIS. And you know how I feel about Doctor fucking Who Cares, right?
Doctor Who Cares. I still got a picture of it because I was just like, it's fun, it's exciting.
I've got a picture of my finger up at the TARDIS.
Well, I feel similar about Doctor Who, but it was still funny. I needed pictures. But yeah, that was great. That was really good.
It was lovely.
So we had
see Kat, and then Kat showed us down by the bridges, and
she gave us a little tour.
A little mini tour.
Yeah, it was lovely.
And some fruit. She made us eat fruit, which was very kind and very thoughtful because, otherwise we probably wouldn't have had any the whole tour. No, that's not true. Nicole was on it with the fruit as well.
Yeah, she was good. She was like our tour mum.
She was tour everything.
Yeah.
She was the tour.
She just had different hats for different things.
Yeah. So
we went back to Gail's, got some, what did we have? Chili.
Oh, she made a lovely spag bol.
Spag bol. I'm like, chili, spag bol. Yeah,
Yeah.
spag bol to fill our bellies, which was good before we went on because we were quite bad at not eating beforehand. And
time just flew because that was the issue, is once you're on the road, so all of the stuff with the admin, and that is one thing that I really, really learned, is that, well, this should be really be in reflections, but it's the admin that burns me out. And so it's like every single day you need to get on to the next thing, but so there'll be a series of things that need to happen in order to get to that thing. So it's not just like liaising with the person, meeting the person, getting on the way, possibly packing down the previous event, and at the same time the next event and probably the next 3 events after that want to fucking send you emails whilst you're trying to plan the next step. And I was doing the socials all the while as well, because we're further promoting, because you could buy tickets right up to walking in the door. So every day is promotion, answering emails, logistics.
Yeah.
Every step of the way was just work from the minute you opened your eyes.
That's it. We were on the road.
Yeah.
Trying to remember to keep receipts and do all the finance stuff as well. It was just constant. And we thought we were going to have this lovely road trip, chatting to our community members and, having loads of banter and stuff on the road down.
And always stop and see points of interest, which we did a couple, but not many.
Yeah.
Because they just wasn't the time.
Yeah.
And we were just so exhausted. Like, my friend said she was frightened when she saw me in Norwich. She was like, I've never seen you like that. And I mean, she's seen me in some states, right? But it was literally just like, it's like my brain and body would just kind of conserve as much energy as possible by just shutting me down.
Yeah, so during the day, like
we'd have this
massive lull during the day and then kind of come alive again
at night. You'd be fine again.
But the Newcastle event was really good.
Oh, it was amazing.
At the County Hotel.
Yeah, it was such a cool venue.
Yeah.
We had Divergence UK, Celebrate Difference ADHD, and the wonderful Cat Owens.
Yes.
So we got to speak to some amazing people, and funnily enough, the person who won the most ADHD thing, coincidentally, was Leanne from our community, who then was driving us the next day down to Leeds.
That's right.
But we'll come back to that.
Yeah, I think we should save that one for now. But yeah, so after that event, there was a couple of teething problems. We did have some sound issues.
Yeah, we did. The music sounded like we were underwater.
Yeah. It was quite difficult because obviously every single venue has a different setup.
Yeah.
And some are set up better than others for what we're doing.
Specifically, yeah. So like a wedding venue wouldn't necessarily have the right equipment to do a talk.
And we probably didn't really have all of the right equipment that we needed either.
No.
So yeah, there was some teething problems on the technical side, which caused a few stresses and stuff. But we worked through it, and there wasn't anything that was major that caused any major problems, really.
We had 2 events where we had no mics. Is that right?
Yeah.
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 So
and then
the mics that weren't working.
We had one event where we shared a mic, which
oh my god.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to that. But
so that was Newcastle, and after Newcastle, we did what you have to do because it's the law. we went to Greg's.
We did go to Greg's. Yeah, we did go to Greg's. We all went to Greg's after the show and got some snacks before we headed back to...
And Nicole bought one of those big, massive roll things. It's like an enormous loaf of bread thing that she got that you have to get in Newcastle.
Oh, a stotty.
Is that what it's called?
I think it's a stotty.
And we kept it for days, and then we remembered we had it, and it was still good, and we ate it.
Yeah,
we ate
with
it in
hummus.
Birmingham.
Yeah, it was really
Yeah,
good.
it's delicious.
And then we got back to Gale's after the Newcastle venue, after midnight. And after midnight was the 2nd of May, which was our 1-year anniversary of the podcast. And Gail had bought cupcakes and had come out with candles on the cupcakes for us.
Sung us
So
happy birthday.
Yeah, that was really sweet.
Really lovely. So
Really nice.
lovely.
And then it was essentially go to bed, get up, pack up.
Down.
Yeah.
Meet Leanne. Leanne was legendary, wasn't she?
Yeah.
And she drove us to the Angel of the North.
Yeah, she's like, well, you're going past it anyway. It's a small detour, so she took us on a little detour, and we got out and got some pictures with the Angel of the North.
But annoyingly, something work related was calling me at that exact moment. So in all of the pictures, I'm actually on the phone.
Yeah, I know, on a phone call whilst trying to get all the pictures taken. But it was a nice little detour.
It was lovely.
And then Leeds was the next stop.
Leeds was just I feel reluctant to at any point say the best because they were all brilliant.
Yeah.
But it was just really, really special because it was our first birthday. The venue was incredible. The staff were incredible.
Yeah.
Like, they really, really looked after us.
And Leeds is like a really special place for me. It's where my dad's side of the family is from. My dad's no longer with us. And yeah, it's a really special venue. Plus, it was our first birthday.
Yeah.
And the venue was just, they were so hospitable.
Yeah.
Like, they were really helpful.
And it was like purpose built.
It was built,
it was literally spot on for everything.
They had sound engineers, like, they knew exactly what they were doing.
They just sorted you out. But hilariously, whilst we were setting up for that gig, community member Ali messaged to say that in our last episode that was out, there was about 20 or 30 seconds of complete silence.
Basically, I'd fucked up.
Yeah. And so Dawn is sat on the stage of Leeds, and her computer is obviously projecting on the screen behind us because that's what we use for the Masioki, actually editing the podcast that was already live for our last episode on the stage.
I had my headphones on, I was just sat there. And so that I didn't put a spanner in the works, but it obviously took up time.
Yeah.
And then we started getting ready, and I don't think we'd realised.
Well, no, we went for pizza.
Oh yeah, we went to a place called Grumpy's.
It was so cool. So you're in this little in Farsley, which by the way is absolutely bloody beautiful.
Yeah.
And then we're just in this venue, like, oh, this is cool. Like, what is this? Like some kind of old factory, an old mill or something.
Yeah.
Turn the corner, like, oh, apparently there's a pizza place around the corner, and there's a beautiful pizza place, craft beer. Like people in Farsley, you've got it made. It's a well cool place.
Really cool place.
And then we ate pizza, and then I nearly walked out holding a glass.
Yeah.
Just for no good reason.
Well, we went with Leanne, didn't we?
Yeah.
Nicole had stayed back because she was doing some work.
Yeah. Because she did have to work, despite said kidnapping.
She was essentially working on the road in her actual job.
Yeah.
Thankfully, she can work remotely, so she was able to do that. So she was working. We got a takeaway pizza from the place. We came back and we got ready, and then realised time's running away with us again, as per usual.
Yeah,
and we're like,
every single time it'd be like, fuck, we've got like 5 minutes frantically doing hair, makeup, whatever. And then we went on, and it was just the best because, well, we were joined by Joe, which obviously we've been so looking forward to Joe. And actually, let's tell the truth here, the whole tour happened because of Joe.
Yeah.
It's really true. So when we did Joe's interview way back when, he said, you should do a tour.
Yeah.
And all he really meant was, let's go for beers. But obviously, we're doing half-ass things. So we were going on tour.
Well, you're right. We should do a tour.
We should do a tour, right? We're going to do a 15-day fucking tour.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Literally all singing or dancing.
Yeah, and the other thing is we wouldn't even know till last minute if people were here because we're trying to get ready. And
and then so Hannah Huxford was joining us, so we asked Hannah to bring her book. So Hannah wrote
A Girl Gone Wild.
Yes, Confessions of an ADHD Martyr.
Yes.
Yes, so she's written her book, and so we asked her to come along and talk about her book a little bit as well. So we had her and Jo speaking, and they are just both so legendary. And Hannah, the girl, can sing.
Yeah.
So there was a whole extra bit in it. We sang Holiday. That
That's
wasn't even meant
right.
to happen, just because Hannah loves Madonna.
Yeah.
And was like, let's sing Holiday. And she's just everything.
Yeah.
We love her.
And then we also had an incredible cake.
We had the like, literally cake of dreams. Literal cake of dreams. Because, so it's very...
So Fairy Bakes _Leeds.
I am telling you. So we gave this lady a ridiculous brief. I made up a stupid picture of my cake of dreams, and she did it.
Yeah.
She literally did it. And it's so good. And the best part is, she said, I was like, I kept thinking, why is this cake so delicious? So to make the leopard print on the cake stay on there properly, she's like, it's better if I do, instead of icing, white chocolate fondant. So that beast was literally covered in thick white chocolate fondant. It's the best cake that ever existed.
There was 2 tiers. I don't know if you've seen the pictures. If you haven't, check out our socials because it is on there.
One side, we don't care about the cake, girls.
Yeah.
You should care. It's
yeah.
the best cake.
And if you were at Leeds, you will know because you will have had some. But there was 2 tiers, and it was chocolate tier, which was chocolate
like chocolate
fudge.
mud cake.
It
So
was
it's
like
fudgy,
chocolate mud cake, yeah. And then the bottom was like traditional birthday
Madeira
cake.
cake.
But
But
it
it was
was
all in white
honestly
chocolate. It's the best.
Best birthday cakes. And my favourite memory from that whole night was when we got back to the hotel and you and I just grabbed the big slabs that we had left over, and we,
Which had been on the floor.
which one of them had been on the floor. I think that was maybe Laura's
Because
piece.
we were cutting it, and then we knocked like 2 big hunks off, and we were like, well, we can't serve this up because we literally did it on the stage.
Yeah,
So we're just like, oh well, there are bits. And
Yeah.
So, yeah, we took that cake around with us and ate floor cake for a good few days, and
Yeah.
it was absolutely fucking delicious.
Oh my god, it was so good. So good. But yeah, that was a massive highlight. We cut up the cake at half time, we dished it out. I think we ran over a fair bit at that one, but that's because we had to cut up an entire massive
Yeah,
cake.
we hadn't thought that
It was
through
our
as
biggest
the-
it was our biggest ticket sales place, wasn't it?
Was it?
Aside from Aberdeen, yeah, it was
Yeah.
our the highest number of tickets sold. So we had a cake to cut up for over 120 people, I think it was.
Yeah.
And we didn't factor how long it takes to cut up a
No,
cake
we
and dish it
hadn't at
out.
all.
Yeah, so that was done.
But yeah, it was the best. You could just really feel the love in the room. We had so much fun.
Yeah.
It was really, really great. So Leeds was a really standout one for us.
Yeah. And my cousin
Favourite.
was there as well. I
Yeah.
forgot to mention that. Yeah, my cousin Michelle came along.
And I got a message from my friend who I know and love, part of my Ibiza family.
Yes.
Somebody came up and brought me a piece of paper, which was most ADHD thing, and she was like, Jamie Kitten says hello. And I was like, oh! So that was really nice.
Yeah. So after the lead show, we had Nikki and Carla. They kind of helped us pack up the car and get organised because Nikki was driving us the next day to Nottingham.
Yes.
So
that was that. So in the morning, we went on our way to Nottingham.
Yes.
And we got there, and before we got there, the hotel we'd booked like Ibis Budget or something, they hadn't got back to me. So this is in all of the list of all of the logistics. I'd obviously last minute had to say to each hotel or place, can we have one more?
That's
Because
right.
we kidnapped Nicole. And in all of the stuff, I had neglected to realise that they'd never replied to my message to say, can we have an extra person?
That's right.
So
'Cause
so they couldn't accommodate. So anyway,
we were stopped at a supermarket. And I was phoning up the hotel to find out whether we could get an extra person, but they were going to give us an extra room and it was going to be really expensive. And it's just like, I think we can get a better deal. So that was Laura's job.
Yeah, so I went on booking.com and we found a place called Mama's
Boutique.
And we literally found basically the Spice Girls room. And it is the funniest thing. When I tell you, like, because I love kitsch and I love a lot, like, too much maximalism to the core. You have never seen so many Union Jacks, red bloody phone boxes and black taxis in one room. Honestly, Spice World room with 3 single beds in it. What the fuck?
The
It was
wardrobe.
literally made for us.
The wardrobe was a phone box.
Yeah.
It was incredible. Like everything about it. It was just like, this was the London room and it was just so
So funny.
so good. Like it just like, you know, it's just another thing that just like little things like this, we just
Beyond kitsch.
lift our spirits.
We went from a horrible high-bis budget with a bunk bed to this ridiculous Spice World the movie London room.
It was so cool.
Funny. So in Nottingham, we finally got to meet our lovely Sarah, who helped us massively in the early days.
Yeah.
And Zoe of the Big Swap events.
Yes.
In Nottingham. So that was dream team. It was really lovely to see them. And we got to meet some really lovely people there as well, because it's quite another more intimate one.
Nottingham, it was a smaller one, yeah. And that was one of the ones that we only had one microphone.
Yes.
Yeah. So
which is hell.
Yeah. Like,
because you can't banter.
Yeah, you can't bounce off each other, so we're having to swap the mic back and forth.
You say something, I'll say something, you say something.
It wasn't so bad because it was a smaller event, so when we were bantering, people could shout. People could still hear, but I think that's when you started to lose your voice a little bit because we didn't have the right equipment for the event. But it went well, and we got really good feedback.
Yeah.
And
people loved it. We had do you know what? That's one thing that we haven't really talked about in any of the events. At the end of every single event, we had the absolute pleasure of meeting so many of you and getting pictures and all sorts. But then quite often people cry.
Yeah.
And that was the one where my impulsivity and people pleasing amped up to like level 1,000.
Is this the
because
one?
I'm stood there in like this top, which is like a tie-up top. Obviously like inappropriately dressed because it's what I do best.
I'm laughing already.
And this girl starts crying, bless her, bless you, if you're listening. And I hug her, and you know what I'm like, so I nearly start crying. So in the moment, to put it back round, my impulsivity is out of my mouth before I've even thought. And I'm just like, don't cry, love. Shall I pop a tit out? That is literally what I said, because I had no bra and I just had this little top. And I guess she kind of knocked my boob as I hugged her. And so it just fell out of my mouth. But it did work because it did make her laugh and it stopped her crying. So that
Shall I pop a tit out? I love it.
That's impulsivity, people pleasing at its finest.
Love it,
Don't
love
cry. I will literally say the most inappropriate thing ever to try and make you happy.
Yeah. That was quite funny in Nottingham as well. We forgot to mention in Glasgow we had the lovely Romana.
Yes.
Which was so
Romana's in our community as well.
Romana's in our community, and she brought us a gift.
She brought us several gifts, and she said, we were really moved, and she was like, no, gifting is my love language, and I don't want to like bombard you with words because I know a lot of people send you a lot of stuff. I just wanted to come and give you some gifts, and they were so meaningful.
Yeah, each gift had a little tag, so we had slippers, leopard print slippers.
Leopard print slippers to remind us that the leopard print army are with us every step of the way.
I was about to say, I've got the tags somewhere here as well. I can't remember them. We had
a water bottle,
a
flask,
a coffee flask, a leopard print coffee flask, like travel mug. That's what I'm looking for. Oh my god, a travel mug, so that we could be hydrated and caffeinated. Exactly. On the road, we had a foot mask.
Yeah.
And a face mask.
Yeah.
And little tags with each one of them to say what they were for,
and a cheese pan card.
Yeah, and it was a cheese grater. You're great card. It was really thoughtful, really nice. So we got that when we were at Glasgow, and obviously took that along with us. And we did use everything.
Excuse me, we literally ran around the streets of Nottingham in our bloody slippers.
I know.
Because our feet were hurting. I've learned that I need high heels in order to stand up straight.
Yeah.
So I had to start wearing high heels, because when I saw pictures and videos back, I just, oh God, I can't even bear to look at some of those pictures. It's just like, right, it's just something wrong. I'm hyper extendable, whatever it is about me. I'm the only person who can be gangly and curvy at the same time. But I basically am made of jelly and can't stand up straight unless I'm wearing high heels.
Yeah, it's a posture thing, isn't it? Posture thing. But yeah, those slippers were on our feet a lot, because I only had taken one pair of boots with me, my Doc Marten Chelsea boots. And as comfortable as they are,
you were wearing the same shoes,
wearing them
on your feet.
Yeah, constantly, all day, all night.
Yeah,
like my feet were hot, and they weren't just, I wanted to just not have them on my feet, but I couldn't. So the slippers really were a lifesaver.
They were,
and it was hilarious. Like, speaking about feeling like Spice Girls in the room in Nottingham. that felt like even more apparent when we're running through the streets of Nottingham with our matching Lucy and Yak.
Both in black Lucy and Yak jumpsuits. Thank you, Lucy. We literally look like Ghostbusters for a fucking start. And then we've both got the same pair of leopard print slippers on our feet, just running through the streets of Nottingham. NFG, because we just have to get to the next gig. And didn't even care.
And Nicole made it even better because she was like, let me film you as well. So we'd be walking through Nottingham and she'd be running ahead filming us. And like, right, girls, action.
This one's slow-mo.
It felt hilarious. It was so funny. But yeah, like that was such a lovely, lovely little thing. And we're so thankful, Romana. So thank you so much.
So where have we got to? Nottingham. Then it's Birmingham, right?
Birmingham.
So how did we get to Birmingham? So hang on, how did we get to Nottingham?
Nikki.
So Nikki drove us to Nottingham. So thank you very much to Nikki.
And then we had the lovely Catherine.
Yes.
Now Catherine's car was smaller than the other cars that we'd been in, and she'd been camping the night before, so it was a tight squeeze for us.
Dawn is very good at car Jenga.
Yeah, turns out car boot Tetris is my forte.
But actually, that one was a stretch.
Yeah.
We were, but it didn't matter. But it was just funny, just another funny.
Oh yeah,
adventure.
Just added to it.
Catherine was lovely.
Yeah, really nice.
So we got to Birmingham, and when we got to Birmingham, I was absolutely fucking knackered.
Yeah.
And for a person who isn't really known for getting tired really, really, I was really tired.
Yeah.
And we were sort of stood there. It was about maybe noon or something. And we were getting a lift with, so Sam and Ashley, my friends who I'm also in the Emporium of business with, also known as the Bells of the Ball, DJs, were playing at Birmingham and driving us back to their hotel in Blackpool, which is called the Fernie on Blackpool Promenade. It's the best hotel in Blackpool, possibly the world, so do go and see them. And so we hadn't booked a hotel for the night.
Yeah.
So it's noon. We've got about 5 hours until we really need to be there. No place to go.
Yeah.
A shit ton of bags. And I was just like, I can't do it. We're going to have to get a hotel.
We didn't want to just hang around in a cafe or a restaurant or, a bar.
We didn't have the energy. We could have stored our stuff there and gone shopping or something.
Yeah.
But there's literally zero fuel in the tank at this point.
That's it. So, we got a hotel for a couple of hours.
Yeah, literally checked into a hotel, an Ibis budget in Birmingham for about 3 hours and had a whale of a time because Nicole had on her face mask and was pretending that she was some sort of thug, that if somebody broke into the room that she'd have him. She was like, can I fucking help you?
It was, we were just being daft, but that's where we were a bit delirious. I think by that point, we were getting a bit delirious. Because obviously,
Steph came to me. Sorry, go on.
We'd done Perth, Inverness, Glasgow, Edinburgh, Newcastle, Leeds, Nottingham. Back to back, essentially.
Yeah, we had. That was, so Birmingham was the last one before we had a break.
Yeah, so we had the day off between Inverness and Glasgow.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a day off because we were organising, we were doing stuff. So yeah, we were delirious by that point. We really
Steph
were.
came to meet us and probably thought, what kind of a madhouse had she walked into?
Yeah.
Because by that point we were insane, just eating cake.
Eating cake and stotty.
Yeah.
In this Ibis budget tiny room.
And she remembered to bring me her son's toy lightsaber because it was May the 4th.
That's right.
And so then at that point I was like, oh gosh, well I need to do Princess Leia hair. So then I was pissing about doing Princess Leia hair, and then you decided to do Princess Leia hair as well.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad we did.
I know.
I'm
not a Star Wars fan, but it's not like I hate it. It's just that I'm not into it.
Yeah.
But I'm still up for the
it was really fun,
the May the 4th banter, and it was hilarious. And that was our first Tonight Josephine venue,
and it was stressful because of all these technical things of where you set up and how you set up, but I absolutely fucking loved it. That was one of my favourite nights. It was so intimate. We were on the level and close to everyone.
Yeah.
And so it just felt like a special little meeting room den.
Because the venue itself was kind of split into sections, and obviously we couldn't have people in different sections because they wouldn't be able to see us.
Yeah.
So really we needed to cram everyone into one of the rooms. And
I'm so glad we did.
And it was a little bit stressful getting set up. but it worked.
It
like
worked
in the
so
end,
well.
it was so good. There was
I loved it.
mirrored ceilings. There was
Yeah.
neon lighting. There was a photo booth.
It was just brilliant.
We were drinking a giant.
Porn star
martini.
Don't slate us for it.
It was just the one.
Just the one.
I mean, it was giant. It was giant, but we shared it. We shared a giant porn star martini.
A hun juice.
A hun juice. Yeah, that's what we were calling it.
Yeah.
And we also had Rebecca from Working Clasp, who does all our acrylic jewellery, and she was helping us out in the merch stall as well.
And when we tidied up at the end, we were rolling around the floor singing along to Just a Little Crush.
Yeah, we were it was brilliant. Like,
we had the best time. It was a brilliant crowd. And our Lizzie from our community, who we speak to most mornings, we finally got to meet her, and she won most ADHD things.
I know.
Isn't that random?
And genuinely, it was not fixed
Literally
in
just
any way.
Anonymously given bits of paper, and on 2 events, it was the community member that won it.
Yeah. And she bought a pair of earrings and lost them before she left the venue.
Yeah.
Bless her. I actually don't know if
But she also bought one of Steph's amazing handmade capes.
Like capes, yeah. I don't know if she got her earrings back. We'll have to find out. Did you get them back, Lizzie?
Did you get them back, Lizzie?
But yeah, that was a fantastic night. Really good. And then we had to drive up to Blackpool. And then it was sadly a bit overshadowed.
Because this is a ridiculous story. Basically, I woke up. Everyone was getting out of the car. It was a bit cold, so I decided to change into my black Lusignac jumpsuit thing, boiler suit. And I just was literally half asleep. I'd gone from asleep to awake, taken my phone out of the pocket to take my clothes off in this cubicle in a service station, and picked all my clothes up and got back in the car, and didn't realise till quite a way up the road that I'd obviously left my phone on the back of the toilet. Yeah. And my phone was gone. And do you know what? It really fucking threw me. Like, I really, really was so upset about it, because it felt like I'd worked so hard and I'd tried so fucking hard to get everything right and to be organised and to be on it and to have everything, literally pretty much killed myself to get everything right.
My heart
then you just do something wrong, and it just felt like, because I always read too much into things because I'm melodramatic and easily wound up, I was just like, you see, Laura, you don't just get to fucking gallivant about the country talking about ADHD. You fucking have it. Have some of that.
Yeah.
Like, you've got ADHD. Don't
my heart just broke for you. Like, we tried everything that we could to get it back. Like, we were
it'd been nipped.
Yeah, we were too far up the road to kind of turn back at that point.
And then it got turned off and it was gone.
Yeah.
And the thing was, I was so upset because I'd set myself a challenge to take a crowd selfie for every single show. And ironically, my favourite one was from Birmingham, because we were dressed up as Princess Leia and it was just extra funny because there was a lightsaber in it. And also because, Steph's one of my very best friends. Ashley and Sam are 2 of my very best friends. Emporium of Reunion, it was just this perfect thing. And that's the one photo that was lost because it was only on my phone. And I was more upset about that than anything else, was that broke that special thing that I was doing. And when I got home, or I call it home, it is a second home. When I got to the Fernie, I got into bed, absolutely cried myself to sleep, woke up the next day, still devastated about it. And then I was just like thinking to myself, oh, I feel so bad. I'm so sorry to Dawn, because I've been the person liaising with all the people that are driving us, so she doesn't have their contacts and we don't know how to do it. And I was like, I'm so sorry to Big, because he's going to be worried and he's going to think that I'm not very responsible and that I'm not capable of doing this. And then I realised, no, I'm sorry. I had my fucking phone nicked, actually.
Yeah.
That's what happened. And I'm not going to be sorry for that.
It
was such a huge turnaround, because I was just like, actually, people should feel sorry for me. Why do I always think that I'm this massive inconvenience? Like, I work my bollocks off and something bad happened to me, and I'm not going to go around thinking I'm the worst person in the world for it, actually.
At the end of the day, if that had happened to any of us, we would have all rallied around to try and help that person.
Yeah.
But it's that thing that we do when everything's so good and something bad happens. It's like almost like that bad thing happened just to tell me that I can't have everything so good.
Exactly. That was literally, it's like, that was how it felt as I got into bed that night. It was like, you see, Laura, it's never gonna be all right.
And
ever.
And that's why my heart broke for you, because I was just like, that was such an incredible evening, and I know how losing your phone is gonna have such a dent to your mood and how you're feeling as a result.
My confidence,
Yeah,
and my
everything.
self-belief,
Yeah,
everything.
exactly.
Like, we had it down, and it was like, no, you don't.
But you know what? In your kudos, you turned around really quickly
Yeah,
on
I
that, and
did.
you really, and that to me, I'm like so proud of you
Yeah.
to see like that change, because I know that could have gone on for days,
Yeah.
and that could have really affected you for the rest of the tour.
Yeah.
But you really managed to turn that around. And
Well, Big was the knight in shining armour, wasn't he? He turned up the next morning with an old phone, and just like, whilst we were pissed about going to a fortune teller on Blackpool Seafront promenade, Big went in and got another SIM card, and before I knew it, I was probably without a phone for about 7 hours.
yeah, I
And
mean,
he'd sorted it out.
I'd given you my phone
Yeah.
to go to bed with, because I was just like, I don't need it, it's fine. Like, I'm rubbish on my phone anyway, so take mine. But yeah, bless.
The only sad thing is that we lost that picture. So we
Yeah.
have nearly a full set of crowd selfies apart from
Because everything
Birmingham.
else had backed up to the cloud, but I don't think that one had got round to
Literally,
backing up. Yeah,
It's backed up to almost there. So it's the start of Birmingham where we set up. And then
Yeah.
everything else is gone.
it's because of the Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Well, I've been waiting until you had Wi-Fi to back up to the cloud, which is so frustrating.
Yeah.
It's just like you kind of want to shout out to that person, if you've got the phone, if you've got
Can
any
you
of that,
just
can
send
you
us
just
a picture of Princess Leia's in Birmingham?
yeah, like please give us the picture. But
Yeah.
yeah, we tried phoning everybody and reporting it and logging into things and find my iPhone and all sorts,
Thank
every
God.
which
John
way.
and Big were just helping me, because all of this kind of technical stuff is where I really fall down, when you have to 7-step fucking authenticate something with your blood. Like, I literally don't have the patience, and I always miss a step, and I get so frustrated that I'm just like, don't bother, just don't bother. But yeah, we
But
got there.
it was a tough one, but we had a really lovely day in Blackpool.
We had fish and chips. We went. We didn't go to Pleasure Beach in the end because we went to the pub instead. But we had our fortunes told.
Yeah, we did have our fortunes told.
But
That was
weirdly, Nicole and Dawn were told they were not allowed to tell anyone else what the person had predicted for them. I wasn't told that.
I feel like she just forgot to tell you,
Maybe.
or she maybe did it to wind us up. Who knows? But
Yeah.
I mean, there wasn't anything profound that like really stood out for me. But I wrote a few things down that I'll be able to look back at and be like, oh, that's interesting.
That's the second time I've been there. I like that place.
Yeah, but I'm a bit
nice
of
things.
a skeptic anyway, so this is why I like to write things down
Yeah.
and be like, right, okay, we'll see. But yeah, so we went to this really nice place on the promenade. Promenade, yeah.
I can't think what it's called, but it's like a beautiful beach house, and like when you're in it, it's like you could be in like somewhere like Ibiza.
Yeah, and
it
the
doesn't
weather
feel
was
like you're next to the other part of Blackpool with like it's literally
Yeah.
opposite from
Chalk and
where you play
cheese.
bingo.
Yeah.
like yeah.
But it was so
Lovely.
cool, and yeah,
And
then
we stayed at the hotel.
yeah,
which
we
was lovely.
walked back there. I made Big get in this sign for no apparent reason other than that I thought it would be funny, and it wasn't. So that was really pointless.
And so then the next day was Salford Lads. If you are finding this podcast helpful and you're in a position to do so, we are asking that you help us by signing up to our Patreon. In pledges starting at just £4 a month, it will give you access to our We Are ADHD AF community forum, in which we are both active members and we all support and learn from each other. You will also get access to behind-the-scenes content, exclusives, offers, blogs, vlogs, the works, everything in the kitchen sink. Your pledge will also mean that we will be able to continue to put out weekly episodes of ADHD as Females, the podcast.
Alternatively, if you would prefer just to make a donation, you can do so by visiting buymeacoffee.com/ADHD as females. We know that our words are helping people in 164 countries and counting.
We really appreciate your support in supporting us to continue supporting the ADHD community.
If you are ADHD AF and you want more ADHD AF, join the We Are ADHD AF community. www.patreon.com/ADHD as females. So yeah, Big drove us to Manchester.
Yeah, Big drove us to Manchester.
We had
the
Ash
girls
and-
followed because they had the DJ equipment.
Ash and
stuff.
Sam were doing the DJing, the music.
Yeah.
And they loaned us a projector as well
Yeah.
because we didn't have one at that point.
Yeah, and it was funny because we got to Salford Lads Club, and there was just a sea of children in there.
Yeah, there's
And
a
I
lot
was
going
really
on.
confused because the room is so big that we were in that, to my mind, it had to have been on the ground floor.
Yeah.
So I walked in and I was just like, oh my God, when are these kids going to get out of here? What are we going to do? Because, we've got to set up, only to find out that this amazing, massive room that we were in is actually up a whole set of stairs.
Yeah.
Because it was the King's coronation. And so they had a coronation day party, but because the rain was on and off, they brought the street party in.
Yeah.
So that's why the kids were all downstairs. But it was fine. It was no bother. It was just when we turned up, it was like, oh my God.
And Salford Lads Club is on Coronation Street.
Is on Coronation Street. And so we had our own coronation in which we coronated Big for being the king of ADHD AF.
Yeah.
Because he is.
Putting up with
us.
Putting up with us, exactly.
Helping us.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was really fun. And
it was such an incredible venue. Like you worked hard to get that venue.
I did.
And yeah,
I'm so glad we did it.
I'm so glad. It was really special.
It was really special.
Really, really special. And yeah, I'm so thankful to you for that, because
I'm so thankful to them for having us, and it was just a fucking great day, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it was so funny. So Kimmy, we finally got to meet our Kimmy, who moves heaven and earth for us on the daily, who we will always be forever indebted in gratitude to. She did our last minute printing. She ran in, she took photographs, and it was just bloody lovely to see her in the flesh, wasn't it? So we speak to Kimmy like literally every morning on Body Doubling, don't we?
Yeah.
So it was great to see her, and we were doing like really cool photo shoots. So next to the room that we were in, there's actually a boxing ring.
Yeah.
That was really cool, wasn't it?
Getting some fun photos taken
Yeah.
there. We got some amazing pictures out the front.
Yeah,
and
so Hayla was there to help us as well.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
we kind of last minute plans for where we were staying as well.
Yeah.
I'd contacted a friend, Ian. He'd kind of offered this when I was speaking to him at the start, like when we were looking for places to stay. He's like, oh, I've got a place in Manchester, you can stay with me. And I was like, oh no, we've got stuff sorted. But then
we had an extra person.
Then we had an extra person.
A
so
kidnapping.
Nicole and I stayed with Ian. And
Literally round the corner from Salford Lads.
yeah, and he made us breakfast and everything the next day as well, which was great. So
yeah, so at that we had Joe.
Yep.
We finally got to meet Priyanka, which was wonderful. Who else did we have?
And Siobhan,
We got
Not
to
So
meet
Secretly
Siobhan.
Sober, yeah.
No, you haven't met Siobhan in the flesh.
No, I knew her before we interviewed her, before we even
Yeah.
had her on the podcast. I knew her.
But not in the flesh.
But I'd never met her in the
So
flesh.
that was
yeah.
lovely. That was Dream Team. And obviously the Emporium of Girls, Bells of the Ball were there. And Nicole did another skit. And we saw our Kirsty as well. She travelled down for it.
Yeah,
Kirsty
that's
from
right.
Aberdeen was
Yeah.
there. And Fee was there from Aberdeen as well.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
God, I keep forgetting all these things, and I'm
and
like,
we got to meet the whole front row was community members, and obviously I can never remember anybody's name. And there were some good T-shirts that day.
Oh,
Joe
yeah.
had on Kathy Burke for Prime Minister.
Yeah.
And then our community member, whose name I can't remember because I'm terrible with names, had
What did it say
"Don't be
again?
afraid to go on top. If he dies, he dies."
Yeah, that cracked me up. But yeah, that was really special. We got some photos taken in the Smiths room. We got photos out front.
Our photo was going to be in the Smiths room.
Yeah, which was really
Yeah.
cool. And
amazing.
yeah, we bought some merch ourselves.
Yeah,
we got
we
our
did.
pictures taken, and yeah, it was just a really cool venue, really special.
It was a
and
really special day.
yeah,
Yeah.
we loved it.
Yeah, so we had tiaras on.
Oh, of course, we
In
had
our
tiaras on as
coronation.
well.
And I liked it because we had little frocks on, so I felt like we were in Hull. It's great. Yeah, so that was Manchester. And then what happened? I can't even remember.
Oh, Manchester was really special as well,
yes!
because we were talking about forgetting things, and in the middle of that sentence, when I was on stage, I realised it was my mum's birthday. And now I had remembered earlier,
And you said it.
and I said it, but I hadn't actually gone and
Actioned
called
the
her
thing,
or
yeah.
messaged her. And so I was like, oh no, it's my mum's birthday. I've not wished her happy birthday. Someone's like, why don't you do it? Was it you that said
Yeah.
that, or some of the
Some-
crowd?
I remember. It
I
was
can't
like, ring her.
remember. Someone's like, ring her. So we did. We rang my mum from the stage, and
Because somebody even said, was that real? I thought that was made up. It's like, no, that really happened.
yeah, we did. We rang wee Rosie up, and I
happy
was like, happy
birthday.
birthday. I've like sang happy birthday down the phone to her.
But we
Banging.
all sang happy birthday to her.
Yeah,
so she
the
got
whole
serenaded by the whole crowd.
sang happy birthday, which we have on video, which I just saw for the first time the other day.
Yesterday,
and
yeah.
it was just a really special moment. I felt myself welling up, and
Yeah.
afterwards, bless my mum, I think she was just oblivious to what actually was going on.
Because she was kind of carrying on the conversation.
Yeah,
She was like, can't
she
talk
was.
now, Mum.
She was
I
away.
can't
She was
talk."
away to have a chat and tell me what she was up to. She's like, "Oh, I'm having a party. I've got people round." And I was like, "Mum, I'm actually on stage right now in the middle of a live show. I can't stay and chat." So I'm like having to hang up on her. And oh yeah, that was super
It was
super
so
special.
So after
But yeah.
Manchester,
After Manchester,
We went to we stayed. I stayed with Sahela and Johnny. You stayed with
Ian.
And then we were gifted extra special mementos of being in Manchester.
I know, that was so lovely.
Yeah, because Sahela, who's part of my Ibiza family, very kindly gave us Manchester-related gifts. So we had bee jewellery, we had a bracelet and earrings, and we also had coasters, and it was just so thoughtful. So thank you so much, Sahela.
Yeah, thank you. That was very, very kind. Love it.
So next, Ashley and Sam very kindly drove us all the way to Cardiff, even though they couldn't stay and play.
I know. And Big had come, but he had to go.
He had to go back to work.
Yeah, he had to go back to work. So we parted ways there. And Ash and Sam drove us all the way from Manchester to Cardiff.
Only to drive back to Blackpool straight afterwards.
I know. Absolute legends. Absolute legends. And so
we got to Cardiff.
We didn't have a lot of time.
And we didn't have a lot of time.
At all. So
that was a bit of a stressful setup, to the point that I was doing my makeup in the ceiling mirrors of Tonight Josephine.
Yeah.
And I think Hannah Baxter, who obviously I have met in the flesh, so I went to school with her, but I've met her as an adult, and Louise Pink Pear Bear Williams are sat there, and I'm like an actual cage beast with hair everywhere, trying to do mascara in a ceiling mirror above my head. It was the most rushed.
Yeah. I remember getting ready, and there was 15 minutes until we were set to start. And that was me from figuring out what I was going to wear, to do my hair and do my makeup.
Yeah.
And I was trying to sort my hair out, and I was in the bathroom of the Tonight Josephine's venue trying to make myself look presentable, and people were arriving, and we couldn't let them up because we weren't ready for them. And so that was really stressful. We had sound issues because
it looks like... Well, it looks unprofessional. We are unprofessional for a fucking start. We don't know what we're doing. But more to the point, it's just it looks like we don't care or we're being lackadaisical. But we were pedaled to the metal. Yeah. We worked our balls off every second of every day. There literally wasn't enough seconds to get everything done.
We didn't leave Manchester early enough, not because...
Of any other reason
that we couldn't get in the venue any earlier.
So we couldn't get in the venue, but then when we got there, they changed the room.
Yeah.
Which was great in a way, but it definitely, because otherwise we wouldn't have got ready at all on time, actually. Yeah. But it meant that actually we could have left Manchester loads earlier and been there to have a leisurely setup, but we didn't know they'd changed the room.
Yeah.
So that was a bit stressful.
It was. With the sound issues as well, it was frustrating, but you just have to work through them, and we did, and it was what it was, but we still had good feedback and everyone was lovely. Yeah. And that was that.
We came out onto the main street, sorry, I don't know what it's called, in Cardiff, on bank holiday weekend, and it was going off. We were literally I wish we didn't have all these boxes and to go somewhere, because this is a fucking good night.
I know. I've never been to Wales before, and we really didn't get to see any of it.
I mean, we saw the beauty of it driving in, but we didn't see anything.
Yeah, I really didn't get to see very much of Cardiff, but it's definitely a place I'd like to go back to, because it looked like a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah, and then we got to meet Claire from our community, and she's going to do a lovely photo shoot of us one day. She offered us that, which is lovely. So we just had a great time.
And then we were standing out waiting for what was Louise Williams and her boyfriend Fraser. They were giving us
so much.
Yeah, they helped us pack up, and they were taking us to Bristol that night. So we were waiting for them to come down with the car. So we were just stood at the side of the street in the middle of bank holiday weekend madness with a bunch of boxes and suitcases head to toe leopard print. I don't know what people thought, but then some community members had come and chatted to us as well.
We had a really nice chat.
Attendees, I'm not sure if they're community members, but some attendees had come and chatted to us when we're just standing in the street like
weirdos.
Yeah, absolutely.
So then Bristol was a special one.
Yeah, Bristol was.
I woke up the morning of Bristol and my voice was about 17 octaves deeper. My chest actually hurt. I was like, oh fuck, I'm sick.
Yeah.
Oh dear, what we're going to do? But luckily, it wasn't that. It was just exhaustion and screaming too much. Because the whole point is, I'm not singing, but I can't bloody help myself. So I'm singing extra loud because I don't have a microphone, just screaming my head off every single night into a bloody ladle like an idiot. And I just couldn't help myself. I just kept doing it.
Yeah. but that's what you do.
Yeah,
Like when you're having a good
plus
time, you
for
know.
however many hours a night.
Exactly.
So yeah, I felt unwell, but then it was actually fine. I felt fine, and it was just really lovely to meet Jacob,
Yeah.
ADHD Father UK, to meet Dr. Alex Connor from the ADHD Adults,
Yeah.
and obviously we had Louise Pink Pear Bear there. We had Nicole there. It was a really dream team, and I just love that venue. Like when you look at it, it's not in any way purpose built because everyone's not in the same space, but it was just like ridiculous disco rave den.
Yeah.
And it was just amazing. And yeah, Jacob led everyone in Rolling in the Deep.
I know, bless him.
Everyone sang along.
We just put him on the spot with that one, really. I mean, he did have some warning, but
And you sang too.
yeah,
Everyone
of course.
sang.
Everyone
sings
sang.
Adele, don't they?
Exactly. It was great.
But yeah, it was so special, and we just loved it. We ran over horrendously, so apologies to anyone who had to leave before the end. Basically, no logic in my brain here. We asked Dr. Alex Connor to kind of reflect on various things that we said and give us some insight, which was fantastic. But I don't know why. Well, I do know why, because of the lack of logic. It hadn't occurred to us that then we should have removed something else, because that takes up time.
And then there was
So
an extra song in.
Yeah, there was an extra song. Yeah, we just
there was an
hadn't
extra
accounted
song.
for the fact that we basically changed the show, and therefore it was a different show and was another 40 minutes
We
longer.
probably had a longer break and all these
Yeah.
things, but yeah, time. There was a couple of the events that time did get away from us, and
But it was still great, and I absolutely loved it.
Yeah,
it was
was.
so great. I found another singer who got up and belted out Black Velvet with you.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
great.
it was really good. And then we had Michelle and our fiance Mel.
Yes, lovely Michelle.
Michelle was taking us to
Truro from Bristol, yeah, bless
so
her heart. They hung about and helped us pack down.
They helped us
took
pack
us to the
up.
hotel, picked us up the next
loaded
morning.
the car up. Yeah,
It was great.
it was great. Yeah, it was
super
really
grateful,
good.
and it's just really lovely to meet community members, isn't it?
Yeah,
And they didn't kill us.
I know. I know.
So then we got to Truro.
That was a bit of a hike.
It was a real hike.
Bristol.
Bless Michelle.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the weather wasn't great. So that was a bit of a shame, because we didn't get to see it at its best, and we were just so exhausted. I actually felt embarrassed at one point when Michelle took us to the hotel in Truro, which was lovely. We got into the room and I just kind of sat on the bed and was just completely mute. There
Yeah.
was nothing in me. And she was just like, "Are you all right?" Like, blah, blah, blah. I'll be like, "Yeah, I'll be all right in a minute." Like, there's nothing left of
Yeah.
me. So weird.
It's like it would have been nice to have gone out for a cuppa together and before, like, you know, she headed up
Explore
the
a little
road.
bit.
Yeah.
There was nothing left in the tank. Or there was, but my body was like saving it.
And it needed to be reserved for the show. Exactly. So, no, we're very, very grateful to Michelle for driving us. And we wish we could have hung out longer.
And the venue in Truro was really cool. Old Bakery Studios.
Old Bakery, such a cool venue. Yeah.
And we had loads of fun. That's when we properly... Oh, no, Manchester was the first one, but another... evolution of the show, which is something that I actually invented for the Emporium of, is musical statues to drum and bass.
Yes.
But we have a drum and bass version of our jingle.
It was done by Sessions.
Yeah, Sessions 81. So then it was like, okay, so when more than one person wins the bingo at the same time, they have to have a dance battle to musical statues, drum and bass version of the jingle. And it was great. So we did that in Manchester and we did that in Truro as well.
And we had our very first green room.
Oh, we did have a green room.
An actual purpose-built green room.
Yeah, with a sign that said green room.
I know.
Yeah.
That was fun.
cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a lovely venue.
A really nice venue, yeah.
So that was cool. And then after Truro was Brighton. And I tell you what, that was funny because that was a 2-person mission to get us there.
Yeah.
So Susie, who actually spoke at the Truro event.
Yes.
Because she does counselling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she drove us to...
Bridport.
I don't think it was the end, but that was the original plan.
No,
Somewhere
it was
near there.
Poundbury.
That's it.
Yeah.
So to a McDonald's that looked like it was in an actual house.
Yeah, it was
random.
the most random McDonald's I've ever seen.
So we drove there and then we got picked up by Kim Pierpoint.
Yeah,
And
from our community.
Kim we speak to every morning. Kim's part of the furniture from Days of Old, isn't she?
Yeah.
So that was so lovely. So these two lovely ladies met in the middle.
Yeah.
and then
basically just swapped us over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we drove from there to Brighton, and as we got into Brighton, I just got so excited because I went to university in Brighton. I lived in Brighton for 3 years, and then I moved back again for a year or so later
And the sun was shining.
The sun was shining. I was literally made up.
I was excited as well. I've never been to Brighton, and I was excited to be there.
It's such a wicked place.
Yeah,
isn't it?
really
I wish
cool.
I could have shown you more, but it just means we have to go back, doesn't it?
Exactly. And I think one of the really exciting parts for me, and it's probably not that exciting to anyone else, but the room that we had 3 double beds.
Yes, it did. It did.
And it was so nice because
And it was right on the seafront as well.
Because Laura doesn't sleep that well. Like I was like, you take your own bed. Plus, like, you can wake up, you can do social media stuff, you won't disrupt anyone.
It's more for you than it is for me. It's just that I'll wake up, and then if I move and start shifting about, you'd wake up.
Yeah,
so, like,
that's it. And I don't want her to feel paranoid about that either. So I'm like, no, you have your own bed. I don't care. I will sleep whatever.
With Nicole.
Yeah, so...
Spooning.
I know. Although, where was it? The bed was absolutely massive, and I didn't even know...
you were miles apart.
Was that in Burnt...
Yes, that was in
Bristol.
Yeah.
Huge, super king bed or whatever it was. It was like, didn't even know Nicole was there.
Yeah.
But so that was like a real treat to have 3 double beds and each get one. So that was lovely in Brighton.
Right on the seafront. The venue was gorgeous. We had sound issues.
Yeah, that was another one with sound issues.
So that was one where we didn't have mics at all in the end.
No mics, but we didn't really need them because it was a smaller kind of room.
Yeah.
The acoustics were actually all right, but the sound that we did have playing, the music and stuff, wasn't that loud. So when people were singing, you couldn't hear the music as well.
But it was a great night.
It was a great night,
We met some really lovely people. We had a fantastic time. It was a great night.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
It really was. Claire Jacob, single parent pessimist.
And her partner won.
Yeah,
ADHD
one most
thing.
ADHD thing, that's right.
And it was just really, I loved that gig. It was great. It was very intimate. Again, it was that one where you're looking at everybody because it was quite well lit and it just really felt like we were all in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, together.
Definitely.
And then woke up in the morning. I wanted to go to Fatboy Slim's
Big Beach Cafe,
which we did, but just head to toe and leopard print like a girl band. That was really fun. We didn't see Fatboy Slim. I was hoping to, but we didn't.
Yeah, no, we didn't see old Norman.
I made him a hat, and I know he still keeps it. So I was hoping I'd bump into him and be like, "I made you that hat."
Yeah.
But yeah, that was really nice. And then I started to get the worst anxiety of my life.
That's right. You did. You were really anxious.
And out of nowhere, I was so incredibly anxious. And we got in the car with Rosie Turner, ADHD Untangled podcast, Rosie Turner.
Yeah.
And I was just not all right. I was like so anxious that I wanted to cry. And I started to realise it wasn't anxiety, it was like emotion.
Yeah.
And the closer and closer we got to London, the more and more I felt like I was going to cry. And we got in there, and I probably should have just gone and had a cry, really, but I didn't because there was so much to do. But I realised on reflection is because my friend who passed away would have been there. Yeah. And that's what it was. And for the whole thing, obviously that's one of the stories I tell. That's the Black Velvet story. It was just like, that's why I was upset.
Yeah.
But yeah, London was just something else.
It was amazing. There was just everything was happening. It was ridiculous. I think obviously because of your friend you were feeling this feeling as well, but I think because again we'd been on the road for so long, this was the penultimate one.
It was the big one. It was the sold out one. It was
emotions. I think everyone was premenstrual at this point as well. There was a lot of things happening. When I went to get ready, and I just literally took myself into the toilet cubicle, because what was quite nice in the venue is that the cubicles had mirror sink and everything in there, and they were quite spacious. So I took myself in there and just locked myself away to get ready. I thought
she'd done a runner. I just kept saying, "Where is Dawn? Where is she?"
I think I was gone for a good half hour.
Longer than that, because it took me half an hour to get ready.
Yeah, just to get ready, just to have
at your own pace.
At my own pace, a little bit of alone time, and it was nice to have that.
Yeah.
But yeah, London was fucking great.
It really was.
I
had
so good.
3 of my very best friends helping us. Well, 4 really, because my friend Hannah Stubbs, she got us the venue.
Yeah,
for a
and
start.
what a venue!
What a fucking incredible venue! Right?
Yeah.
Then my friend Katie Smith, my friend Maya Clark, and Martin Forrest, they all helped us.
Yeah.
So they were like our dream team, which kind of gave Nicole a bit of a break as well, so she could sort of enjoy it more. And we had loads of hands on deck, and it was just really, really lovely, and it was really special. And when we were waiting backstage, and I was feeling emotional anyway, it was the first one that I properly felt nervous for. Like, that's the only one that I had stage fright for. And that all the rest of them, I was just like, let me at them. And just that one, I was like, oh my gosh, what are we doing?
It was quite weird to see the tables had turned like that, because I was the one at the start. I remember Aberdeen, I was an absolute shambles with nerves. Yeah. And by the time we got to the end of it, like my nerves had pretty much lifted. Like obviously there was still some nerves excitement and nerves there, but like it changed. So I'm now trying to like do what you do and support you in through the nervousness and be like, it's fine, it's going to be good, and it's going to be amazing. But all these people are here.
When we were back there hearing the show start, so we had Rosie, Abigail, Kat Owens joined us again, which is amazing.
Community member Sarah,
who travelled all the way from Hamburg to speak at our event, because
she didn't even know she was speaking. She travelled all the way through. She travelled all the way through to see us at the event, and then we asked her to talk.
Yeah, because she's the one that started her own a podcast in her own language that was inspired by ours, because they don't have any in German.
Yeah.
So so that was lovely. But as soon as everyone started to speak, the people before us, and you could hear the crowd, like how excited they were. Like everyone was screaming and cheering, and like we kept like poking our noses out, and people would look, and it was really, really exciting. And we got out there, and as soon as we got out there, it was just absolutely fucking great. Spotted, I've forgotten her name, so forgive me. A girl who her most ADHD thing was she'd sewn a load of brightly coloured wig hair to a hat.
Yeah.
And that was from months ago.
Yeah.
The first thing I did when I walked out was I spotted the hat, and I was like, oh my God, that's her in the hat. I remember that story.
Yeah. And she had
a sequin leopard.
Her. Yeah, that's right.
Then there was another girl on the front row who was like scribbling furiously. And to begin with, I got nervous because I was like, is it press?
Yeah, taking
are they
notes.
writing down what we're saying? Like, what's happening here?
Doing a review.
And then I looked again, and I saw that she was drawing and she was sketching us.
Yeah. So at the end, she showed us the picture she'd sketched of us, which was just her way of focusing. Yeah. Which I totally get it.
Mind, she needed to do something to focus. Yeah. It's brilliant. And I love that. That's really what London felt like so much, was like, I mean, it felt like that at every event, but particularly in London, it was just like everybody knew the vibe. Everybody knew it was a safe space. Everybody knew that they could just be themselves there.
That's it. And I think there was people moving around as well, because like it was benches, so it maybe wasn't as comfortable, and we didn't have the tables. So, but people were moving and sitting on the floor or moving around to the front, and like there was just no hard feelings about any of it. It's just like, you can do what you want. This is your space.
This is our space to do whatever the fuck you like.
Make yourself comfortable.
And there was a girl in the front row who in the interval said that we had helped her massively with her dissertation. So she'd written to us and we'd shared something, and she was just like, I can't say thank you enough. I was like, oh my God. And then it was her mum.
I was going to say, was that the girl with her mum? Yeah. And it was her mum's birthday.
Yeah, so we all sang happy birthday.
Twice. So she could record it the second time.
Yeah. It was great. And then at the end, towards the end, we were there, and turn around, and Legend with the hat and the leopard is doing fucking poi.
Yeah.
And it's the greatest thing ever.
And then so I grabbed the poi off her and I started spinning them around, and you thought I was nearly going to take a table out.
You really did. It was like millimetres. I had to move a table. It was brilliant.
Oh. So in London, I think it was London, I really do forget because it all kind of just molds into one, but we were gifted a card and some stickers that say the lovely phrase that I honed in, well, I didn't hone it, everyone else.
Catchphrase.
Yeah, everyone else took ownership of it for me, and it has become a catchphrase now. Fanny first. So I do apologise because I don't have the card in front of me or the stickers that we have left. We dished out a lot of the stickers in Norwich.
The leopard print in our colours, in our font, saying Fanny first. They're brilliant.
And I have one on my laptop.
Yeah.
And there was a card and stickers that were made especially for us that say Fanny first on them, and they're absolutely brilliant, and they were gifted to us. But unfortunately, we still have a load of stuff in Norwich because
we didn't want to drive back up. We flew back up, so we will get that card and the rest of those stickers the next time that we're back.
Yes, we will.
But for now, we don't know what your name is, but you are an absolute legend, and we love you for that. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. That was a lovely little touch. And we loved it.
Honestly, though, it was just absolutely... It was like chaos and havoc and all of us together.
Yeah. But
It
you're
was just-
a legend for sorting that venue out because
yeah.
it was...
Well, thank you to Hannah.
Yeah, it was incredible. Such a cool venue.
It was so incredible. And yeah, it was just so special. And it felt hard, you know, like when I told the Black Velvet story, Hannah and Katie were there with me.
Yeah.
It was that day. And I went to his funeral with Hannah. So it was really emotional doing it. And I got literally right to the end and then howled.
Yeah.
But managed to hold it in until the end. There
Yeah.
were a few howlings like that. It was
Yeah, and then we
always the
got
end of
Black
it.
Velvet on the go and it was all,
It was
all brought
great.
back. So it was good. It was good.
It was really good. And yeah, it was just super special. And then my other friend, Hannah,
Yeah.
who happened to be visiting Norwich, so I went to school with Hannah, happened to be visiting Norwich that weekend, changed her plan to specifically pick us up from the event and drive us to Norwich.
I know.
So Hannah drove into London through Brixton to pick us up straight from the event to drive
I
us
know.
to Norwich.
And she wasn't even at the event.
She wasn't even at the event.
Yeah.
So how kind is that? And
Amazing.
then we got to Norwich, stayed in a little place, got up the next day. My friend Katie Doy fetched us and carried us everywhere so that we could pick up mics, we could do stuff, get
Yeah.
food. We hung out at hers. And of course, my wonderful friend Vivian, or now our wonderful friend Vivian, we met her
Yeah.
quite a few times.
Love Viv.
She gave up her house for us. Like, how kind is
Yeah.
that? In Norwich, she literally gave up her house so all four of us could plough in and just have a house while we did that last show.
The most
So-
gorgeous, comfortable sofa I've ever slept on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bless her. So thank you, Viv, and thank you everybody who had us to stay at their houses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Legends.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the incredible venue in Norwich, the Flint Room.
The last time I've been at the Flint Room was on my wedding day. So that was a bit bloody special anyway.
And oh my lordy lord.
I told
what,
you. I told you
what
that place is special.
a venue.
Yeah.
It was something else.
Yeah.
Like, obviously it's an old church.
Yeah.
And just the way that it's been set up.
More is more is more.
Yeah.
It's too much. Just like
Yeah.
us. There's leopard print everywhere.
It's
There's
like
fairy lights everywhere.
The
There's like-
aisles are no longer aisles like that you would expect to see in a church.
Oh, pews, you mean?
Yeah,
So
the-
instead
yeah,
of
the
pews,
pews,
it's
it's-
mismatching furniture in leopard print and
Yeah,
woods,
all sorts
antique.
of different
Yeah.
types of furniture. It was so good, and there's just bits and things like everywhere you look, there's something something special to look at. They
Yeah.
had a typewriter at the front,
Yeah.
an old typewriter that they'd changed to say welcome to
they'd made a special
our
note
tour,
in
Dawn
it.
and Laura's tour.
Trish and Leslie are just
Yeah.
the loveliest people ever.
They really are. They had me in tears
Yeah.
because they decided that they weren't going to have a paying bar.
Yeah.
They everything that they had set up, they had non-alcoholic drinks for anyone that wanted it, and beers,
Wine, whatever.
you wanted
It was free.
was free for
Because
everyone.
they said, we're throwing you a party. It's the last one.
I know, which
And Dawn was howling crying.
I was howling crying because I was like, I can't deal with this much kindness. But I can't, and that's something that really, when I think about it now, it's just like the kindness of people throughout this whole process has just been incredible.
And that's
And-
really, I want to come back to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But-
we had our Steph. So Steph from All the Discos
Yeah.
spoke at that event as well. So she'd spoken at Birmingham previously and she spoke at Norwich. And she fucking went to town in Norwich. She really gave such a heartfelt speech that she cried.
Yeah.
It was really special.
And we were in this little back room that we had to get ready, and
So
Laura
it's
was
a special bride's room
Yeah.
at the very back of the church. So we're just hiding in this special... It's a bell tower,
yeah.
basically.
And Laura said to me, she's like, "Is she crying? She never cries."
I did say that.
I know.
She did cry.
And I was like, I think so. But yeah, it was really special. Such an amazing
It's all
venue.
very
And I
surreal.
think
I knew a few people in the crowd that I went to school with, or from
Yeah.
working in the pub, just people that you know. And
that's it. And it's like starting off this whole thing up in Aberdeen, like this is my part of the world, and ending
Yeah.
down in your part of the world.
well, opposite my high school in the place I got married. Yeah, it was really special. And yeah, we can't say thank you to Leslie and Trish enough. We were also joined by Zoe Joanna Coaching, because that's the random coincidence as well. Zoe, who is up here in Aberdeen with us, is from Norwich.
Yeah, what
So
are the chances?
random. So she was there with us. And
Yeah.
then Reese from our community legend.
The neurodiverse hairstylist.
Yeah. He's got an amazing hairdressing business.
Thank
so
you.
He's a hairstylist, and he's got a special service that he's doing for neurodiverse people. So he came and spoke about that and about his journey and about I said journey.
Yeah, you did. Safari. We haven't even mentioned that.
So along the way, so normally whenever I say journey, I kind of do the inverted commas thing and cringe because I hate the word journey. But I said in one of the things, I was like, it's so annoying because there is no other word that fits. And someone shouted out, safari!
Yeah, Edinburgh. That was in Edinburgh.
Now it's safari. So he talked about his ADHD safari, about finding us, about starting his business. He's inspired by Sophia Hilton. So he was talking to us there, and it was just lovely to have him there.
And bless him, he did a great job. And I think we asked him that day, do you fancy saying something?
Yeah.
And he didn't have a lot of time to prepare. So he was like, he's like, okay, I can do that. And bless him, he took some business cards along and popped them on chairs. And it was really nice to give him that opportunity as well.
It was just lovely to meet him too.
Yeah.
So my friend Becky is a legendary DJ, literally is. She's been playing forever and she's just the queen of the tunes. So she had an amazing setup. I'm talking leopard print tablecloth, giant leopard.
It was amazing.
Lights, everything. So Queen Bee brought the house down. Of course she did. I wish we could have stayed in there all night and had a go, because she is the best of the best.
Yeah, the tunes were great.
Yeah, her husband Scott McBride also helped us massively with setting up and packing down and stuff like that. We had the incredible photographer Sophie Futrell Photography, who was also my wedding photographer and very good friend. She took some incredible images.
We're excited to share all those.
So it was a really, really special way to end it. And some of my nearest and dearest were there.
Yeah,
so
you had
emotional.
a friend Claire who supplied the projector and screen.
Her dad's projector and screen. So thank you so, so much for that. Helped set it up, took it back, everything.
Yeah.
So, every step of the way. We had Hannah again, who'd driven us from London to Norwich, was also on the merch table alongside Katie Doy, and of course Steph, who's selling some of her handmade All the Discos wares. And the pièce de la résistance was Steph's husband Alex with my best friend Katie Doy on his shoulders, swinging her down the aisle that basically both of their asses were out. And that was not planned at all. There
was a rave off in the aisles as well.
Oh yeah, we did. We did our musical statues in the aisles, and the person who won was a girl I went to school with.
There you go.
And she said that our podcast has helped massively, so that was wonderful as well. And then afterwards, it was my friend's 40th birthday, so we went out in Norwich and had a little celebrate. And then the next day, we then had a Eurovision party at Steph's, which was lovely.
Yeah.
So that's it, really. But I think the biggest takeaway from all of it, and I actually feel emotional now, I can't even say the word, is that it really does take a village. Oh my God, put yourself together. Like, it took so many people. Like, every single event took so many people. So we did it 15 times, and there were just so many people that helped us. Like, and I don't even know how or why everybody helped us that much, but we're so grateful because we really, really couldn't have done it. And it's been a lot to reflect on because it has exposed my own vulnerabilities in it. Like, I can do fucking anything, but I can't actually, because my drive is so high and I don't have the logic and I can't drive. Like, I can lead us into battle. I could climb any mountain effectively, but I couldn't fucking get back down again.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? Like, it made me realise how much my ambition and my drive and my want to achieve things and to get out there with people, the knock-on effect that it has on so many other people's lives.
Yeah.
And that's been a huge, huge wake-up call. So I'm so incredibly grateful. We're so incredibly grateful.
Yeah.
There are no words. Like, and it's like, just like beyond proud of us, but also we're not right. That's not all right.
But
what we
that's
did was
it.
not all right. That's mental.
I think for me, my biggest takeaway is that it's okay to be yourself.
Yeah.
Like, that's the biggest thing. It's just like, in being myself, I've been able to gain this new confidence that I didn't think I had, because I'm no longer trying to impress everybody else by being what I think they want me to be. I'm just being myself, and that's enough.
Yeah, that's
and
amazing.
That's huge. But like, yeah, there's more than that. Like, my stories changed kind of throughout as I was learning things about myself. And even the things like we spoke about at the start with the travel and me committing to things, like I realized that I overcommit, and it's all a big people pleasing thing because I'm making commitments because I want to keep people happy, but that's the here and now, and I'm not thinking about the consequences of making people happy in that moment when actually that could lead to them being unhappy further down the line because I've committed to something that's maybe not the right thing or whatever. So that's huge learning experience as well for me. And yeah, I think it's really helped me as a person develop and move forward. So it's not just about the tour and the community in itself, which is all of it is absolutely epic. It's incredible what's happened and the kindness of others and everything. But like, yeah, my biggest takeaway is that it's taught me to pay more attention to the things that I say and do.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a funny thing because by the end of it, and this is where the bad bit comes in, because I'm just going to say the truth, because there's no point in saying it all and it all being rainbows, because it isn't. By the end of it, I felt quite dark side, because the morning after, I'm pretty sure I've got this right, I know my memory can be a bit sketchy, but the morning after we wake up from our last gig is when we heard about the propaganda. Oh, sorry, I meant panorama. And we're not gonna dwell on it, because we've made a promise that, you know, we don't want to further promote negative things, right? But it fucking hit me like a ton of bricks, because I woke up like, you know, we've been and had this amazing experience with all of these people, brought all of these people together, and there you go. Yeah. For what? Almost like everything that we've done is undone by, you know, in one fell swoop. And actually, in all honesty, just not having the energy to fight and needing to take a moment to go, oh my God, we did really well. Isn't that amazing? Into bang. No, you don't. Yeah. Get back down into the gutter with you. Yeah. Is what it felt like. And then we had another little run-in, which we're not going to talk about, but we had something else with the press, which is fine now. But it basically went, the morning after we woke up from the tour, that bad thing happened. Yeah. And then at the airport, about to fly home, something else bad happened, personal press related, that had me howling in tears. So I was crying on about to board the flight home from the tour, when it should have been one of the happiest trips home ever. Ever been. And that made me really, really sad. And it kind of made me it just, the whole thing has made me realise a lot, because I then went away to Ibiza and had really amazing times and remembered that actually my life used to only be about fun things and not serious things. And it kind of made me realise that a lot of my drive has come from these kind of quite dark places and quite like a nihilistic place of like, that was how I started to feel at the end of the tour. And what I realise is that is burnout. That's what burnout looks like for me, is that there's a darkness that overcomes me that's like, what's the point in anything kind of a thing. And it was so strange because I've been there before. I could recognise it. So we're there in London having an amazing time. We talked on Boogaloo Radio. We did like really cool shit. What else did we do? Oh, we went on the Bipolar Diaries podcast. We did all sorts of cool shit. And in the back of my head is like, life is meaningless. Don't bother anymore, kind of a thought. And I managed to acknowledge that that's what happens to me in burnout, and that's exhaustion. So I didn't dive into it, but it was hard when all of this other negative stuff started happening. So then when I went away, it was really funny, because when I left Ibiza, when I was living there and I gave up, in inverted commas, my life there, it was like I thought that I was done for. And what I now recognise is I was burnt out. Because that's the same feeling. So to go back and to be celebrated for my 40th and have all my friends there, it's not gone anywhere. My life there is still there. To realise that this kind of shame and sadness of, oh, I ran away and it was awful, is like not true. I was just really fucking tired, because I don't know when to stop doing anything.
And that's it. And we came back on the Wednesday, and you had to go to Ibiza on the Saturday as well. So it was just like whirlwind. And then I had this week here on my own, and I was just kind of plodding along with life. And I ended up, and I didn't realise I was having a terrible week until I felt better. And so it wasn't until I looked back, I was just like, I was in that place. Like Laura was just saying, it's like the pits of despair and feeling like, you know, what's the point?
Yeah.
And that's where I was the week after we got back.
What's the point?
I was just feeling like hopeless and just being, doesn't matter what I do, everything I do, I'm going to ruin. Like, I just upset people and I'm just a hindrance to everyone. And I was just feeling really down on myself. And just thinking that this is it, this is what happens going forward. Like, you know, it's gonna always be like this, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I was questioning everything, like to the point where I was starting to question. I was like, do I even have ADHD? Like I was getting back in denial. I know, but I really was. I was like really questioning everything about myself, who I was, and like trying hard. I'm like, why can't I just do things? Not realizing that you're burnt out, Dawn.
Burnt out, completely exhausted.
The other thing is, like, I've experienced these feelings before, but never recognized, because I've always said I've never been depressed.
Yeah.
Because I recognize depression as sadness and being sad and crying, where I'm like, now realize, oh, you don't have to be. It's that feeling of hopelessness.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, so maybe I have been depressed many times in my life and I just didn't realise.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's it. And it was a huge realisation. And it wasn't until I went out for my friend's birthday on Saturday night, I wore the colour green, which really lifted my energy.
Yeah.
And it's that dress, that green dress was honestly what got me out of that.
Yeah.
Which is bizarre because I was like, I didn't know colour could make me feel like this.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh my God, messaging whenever yours Betty saying, watch out, Green Dawn's coming. But it wasn't until I felt better on the Sunday that I looked back and I was like, oh, okay, that's what that was.
Yeah.
And I can recognise that now. And I was really worried for you coming home from your holiday as well.
Because I have come back feeling better.
Yeah.
Because I had it before I went away. And I, as I've always said, I do get my energy from other people. And that's why going on tour is great. It's just that on tour, we had all of that admin to do from the minute my eyes opened until I got on the stage. And it's the admin that burns me out.
So next time, if there's someone that would like to do all of the organisation, take that away from us, and we just need to turn up, then that would be great.
That would be great. I mean, at the end of the day, we're making big moves and we're doing big things, and I don't understand why nobody wants to make any money out of us yet.
Yeah.
Like, come and manage us, please.
Yeah.
We're obviously onto a good thing, and we don't want to have to keep doing the admin because we'll bloody die doing it. So help us out, please.
But
yeah,
it was still a once in a lifetime experience. It's not, people don't do that.
People don't do that, and it still doesn't feel real.
No.
Like, that is the weirdest thing that anyone has ever done, ever. Like, actual madness of just running all around the country in strangers' cars.
But it's taught me so much about people, the kindness of others, you know, how communities can come together. Like, little things like people messaging us saying, I came on my own and I left with a WhatsApp group of friends.
Exactly.
And it's like, I know you hate WhatsApp groups, but like connections, people are making connections and they're finding people through this community. And that is just incredible.
Yeah. And for me, like, it's also been like making me realise that I just need so much more joy in my days. Like, I spent my life chasing the sunshine, chasing the fun to the extreme, and I've just spent a year of my life working so fucking hard every single day as if my life is dependent on it. And somebody in our community said we should be so proud of ourselves because we've just completed a marathon at a sprint's pace.
Yeah.
And actually, that is a perfect analogy, not just of the tour, but of this year.
Yeah.
That is literally, you know, when we went to be interviewed in London for the Bipolar Diary, she said, you know, when I saw how many followers you had, when I saw how many listeners you had in how many countries, etc., I assumed you'd been at this like 5 years and you've achieved all this in a year. And like I said, what I realised, what all of this has taught me, is that I've been doing this in this really nihilistic way. And you can't just, you know, this is a triggering thing to say, but I want to be honest about it. Like thinking, well, I'll just do this because if it all goes tits up, I'll just see you later anyway.
Yeah.
That's not okay, actually. No. It's got me through a lot and basically got us on tour.
Yeah.
But it's not okay. And, you know, and on top of that, I can't live my life in a constant fight. And what I've learned is through all of the stuff. So I went off to Ibiza and I managed to put everything down. I bloody needed a break. I couldn't even breathe for ADHD, to be honest, at that point. And I went to Ibiza and the social media just went on without me. Yeah. Nothing happened. Nobody was offended. It didn't matter that I hadn't commented, that I hadn't reacted, that everything hadn't been done absolutely perfectly as I see it in my mind. The world did not stop spinning. Shock horror.
Yeah.
And it made me realise that I have been living in this state of high alert and immediacy. And actually, that's how my life was. That's how my childhood was. I've constantly been waiting for the bad thing. I've been troubleshooting. I've been worrying, what happens if this happens? And I'll think of every which way around the problem so that I can protect it from happening. And then how I will react and blah, 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 all of this stuff. And actually, that's just not fucking good enough. It's not okay. Like, yes, I've spent a lifetime on high alert, but I'm not prepared to spend the rest of my life on high alert. And so there has to be more balance. There has to be more joy. You know, I've spent a lot of time, like even in the last episode, talking about how I was distressed that in the past that people didn't think I was relatable and all of this stuff. And it's just all historical stuff. You know, I felt that if I lived my best life, that was an unsafe place to be, because then when I needed help, people didn't give it to me because they'd look at me and go, how can you be upset? You live in Ibiza. Or how can you be upset? You've got a successful podcast. So I've kind of held on to this sort of victimhood, plus been fueled by shitloads of rage, this constant ticking of time because I've lost and I'm losing friends to cancer. And it's just been this huge ball of rage and sadness and immediacy. And life is actually too fucking short to live like that.
Yeah.
And I am going to live my best life and I am going to celebrate in the sunshine. And I don't actually fucking need anybody's sympathy because we've all got bad things and good things in our lives.
Yeah.
And I know that I've chased the good in my life because life was hard. But that doesn't mean that I need people on side to know how hard it's been to be able to feel safe enough to enjoy my life wholeheartedly.
And if you want support from people, it's being able to reach out to those people that you want the support from.
Yeah.
And because a lot of the time it's like, well, why aren't you asking me if I'm okay and things like that. We can all see that, but a lot of people don't see that you're not okay. They only see the highlight reel, and it's just about knowing that if you need support, like, you have to ask for it. My biggest like kind of takeaway from all of this is about people pleasing. It's people pleasing that is my biggest downfall. Like, all I want to do is make sure that I'm not upsetting or hurting anyone else or making sure that everyone's happy. But usually that results in overcommitting and making decisions that I'm not completely on board with, or making
or like you said, it's that literal thinking as well. It's like, I can physically do something instead of thinking about everything else.
Making perceptions without knowing truth, without knowing facts. And it's just like, well, I think it'll upset this person if I do that, so I'll do this, but actually that wasn't right. That was my perception. So it's like, look after yourself first. You really need to look after yourself first before you can do anything else. Like, you cannot please everyone until you're okay, because if you're not making the right decisions for you, then that's not the right decision for them either. And so that's kind of my biggest takeaway from it all, and having a little bit more patience with myself. And it's that whole thing, this is the thing that I've been speaking about this week, that I've kind of like, my latest epiphany is the convenience thing. Like, it's okay to inconvenience yourself in the short term because it's going to be convenient for you in the long term.
Absolutely.
So like, things might be hard right now, but sometimes, you know, that's just because it's making things easier for you. Kind of. So my whole new thing is stop pissing off future Dawn. It's like, just be a little bit nicer to her because she's really important. You know, if present Dawn is a little bit pissed off with, you know, having to do the dishes, like little things just like that, then, you know, do them.
Absolutely. So the other brilliant thing about the tour is some of the most ADHD things from the tour.
My lordy lord. So,
favourites include somebody in Leeds. We won't name and shame because obviously we haven't got their permission. So we'll do it anonymously. But somebody in Leeds was having such a wonderful time in bed with somebody that she screamed her own name. It was so good.
So good. So good. Somebody at another place, but I'm not going to say what it is because I think that might give it away. They accidentally took their dog's incontinence tablets instead of their ADHD meds.
And apparently the person on NHS helpline was pissing themselves laughing, but obviously...
They weren't.
They weren't.
We're not pissing themselves laughing, but they weren't.
And then we had somebody in, well, we won't say where, who signed up to join the police for a £5 bet and masked as a brilliant police officer for 20 years and still never got the fucking favour. We've got two. The baby ones are always really funny.
Yes.
One was somebody asked the person what they'd just named their son and they couldn't remember.
That's right. And then the other person left their baby in a shop.
And went to 2 other shops because she thought that she was still pregnant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She forgot she'd had the baby. Yeah.
But probably the favourite of all favourites.
Yeah.
Is a person who I can't even remember in which city, but whoever you are, thank you, because you've actually changed our lives.
Yeah.
The only way they can get themselves out of task paralysis is by shouting aloud, "Come on, Barbie, let's go party."
So that's what we do now. If we can't get something done, come on, Barbie, let's go party.
And then it does. And then you laugh and it's broken you out of the paralysis and then you get on with it. It's a magic spell.
Yeah, it is a magic spell.
Absolutely hilarious.
It's good.
I think that really there is no way on earth that we can ever express how much of a legend Nicole is.
Not even, I don't know the words.
There are no words.
I don't have the words. I don't think they exist.
She was the glue that held us together. She was the light relief in the dark hours. She was everything.
Yeah.
And we don't know how we're ever going to repay that to her or let her even know how grateful we are. And I literally miss her. I wish we could kidnap her in real life. I literally do.
She held every role on that tour.
Yeah.
At some point, she had every single hat on.
Yeah.
And hats off to her.
Yeah. She was just the best of the best. And we can't wait to see her show. So her Fringe show, some of which was written on our tour.
Yeah.
Which is called Why Am I Like This? Is going to be at the Edinburgh Fringe, and we are taking part in a talk back afterwards at the Royal Scots Club again.
Yeah, and that's on Sunday the 6th of August.
So if you are looking to come to Edinburgh Fringe, please come and see Why Am I Like This? Tickets via the link in High Heels and Heavy Suitcases bio. We will be there, and then afterwards we'll be at Royal Scots Club doing a talk back, as she called it.
Yeah, like a Q&A type thing.
So we cannot wait for that, and I hope that she kidnaps me and that I can be there for the whole thing too. So we can't wait for that. And that is by far the longest episode we've ever recorded.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, that's not true. I think Jacob's interview was slightly longer than this.
Possibly. But we'll see what we can do with the magic editing, and hopefully it won't be too tiresome for you. And
But yes,
you've enjoyed it.
Yeah, massive thanks to absolutely everybody. Like I said, and I won't cry again, it does take a village.
Yeah.
It really does. Every single show took the effort of so many people, and we are so grateful to each and every one of you. Thank you to everybody who bought tickets, who shared, who offered their support, everyone who came and spoke to us, the people who brought us presents and drinks and drove us places and all of the things. We are so grateful.
So grateful.
And I've learned that I need a bit more balance and to stop doing it as though my life depends on it. I do have a life. And it's really funny because I'm going to Glastonbury, and this time last year when I went to Glastonbury, I ignored Big all the way. The car journey down and all the way back up again. And it actually freaks me out that he's put up with how much I let this podcast take over our marriage and our life. And it's like, I'm proud that I gave it my all, and I'm proud of how much we achieved, because I do think if I hadn't have done it, like my life depended on it, we might not have got so far so fast.
Of course we wouldn't have. Not a chance.
But we've done that now.
Yeah.
And the groundwork is there, and now it's about nurturing and longevity and actually doing things from a positive place and not living in this
and
crazy...
like we always talk about, it's like identify your struggles and put things in place. And I think for you is like you go full steam ahead. That's actually a struggle, because it ends up badly on yourself. So it's like, well, how can I do this in a way that, you know, protects me and I'm not having those problems? And I identify my struggles as well. And part of that is knowing when to say no and like make sure that what I'm saying yes to is one, achievable, serves me, serves the other person, and all of those things. So yeah, we've like it's been big learning curves, and we're going to support ourselves properly going forward so that we can have a more harmonious partnership, harmonious lives, and have more joy.
Yeah, absolutely. I love this community, but I also need to step out of it sometimes.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Because that's the thing is, we're not experts, as we've said a million times. We're not therapists. We're not coaches. You know, we've created the online community so that we can support each other because we're part of it.
Yeah.
And actually, we need to lean in for that peer-to-peer support instead of, at times, it has felt that we might be on a bit of a pedestal and in some way responsible for everybody in a kind of agony aunt sense, when actually we're still finding our way.
Yeah.
We need support. We're the peers.
Yeah.
We're not the experts. So
exactly.
yeah, it's sort of realising that and leaning into this awesome bunch of people that we're so lucky and grateful to have around us.
Of course. And it is a job. Like this, what we're doing, this podcast, the community that we've created, it is a job. And it shouldn't be, no job should be 24/7.
Yeah.
So we need to be able to step out of our work for a while and concentrate on us and not just be 100% immersed in ADHD all of the time.
Yeah.
Because we are more than ADHD. We are people.
Yeah.
And we need to be people.
Yeah. Yeah, and I need to tick my fun boxes because I'm a fun person.
Yeah.
And it was really lovely to be able to be a fun person and to be out and about. And now I'm coming back to not being out and about quite so much. It's like, okay, I need to make sure that I am ticking my boxes and not just ploughing down further into a world of work which doesn't suit me.
Yeah.
Which I'm literally not an admin person.
Yeah.
I can barely work a computer. You've seen me doing and I'm there doing all of this admin morning, noon and night.
Yeah.
What the hell have I been doing?
Yeah. So things are going to be very different.
Yeah.
But in a positive way.
Yeah, it's the start of a new chapter and we will be back very soon. So we hope you have enjoyed the world's longest bonus blether, basically.
Summer special.
But we needed to debrief.
Yeah.
And we just wanted to say thank you 1,000
thank
million
you.
times.
Tuken tak. It's Danish. It means, I think it's tuken tak. I've probably got it wrong, but it means 1,000 thanks. That's how they say thank you in Danish.
Oh, I like that.
Tusen tak. Tusen tak.
Tusen tak. There you go. Well, yeah, that 1,000 times.
Yeah.
And
1,000 thanks. Yeah.
Yeah. We hope to see you in the community.
Yeah, we do.
And there will be more live shows.
Yes.
We love it, just not back to back.
Yeah. And season 2 is in the making. And I'll be back. When we announce it'll be back.
Yeah, exactly. And if anybody wants to be our manager, publicist, anything, anybody, we're doing all right here, but yeah, we could do with a little hand.
Yeah.
All right, we really should shut up now.
Yeah, it's been a lovely, cathartic little conversation, and we hope you've enjoyed it too. Little conversation, it's not been little.
Conversation, massive
But yeah,
load of
we hope
words.
you've enjoyed it, and
Big love and thanks to all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take care.
Bye.
Love you, boy.
ADHD as females, ADHD AF. ADHD as females, the podcast.